what is this cat doing? What is this kitty doing? Why are you upside down? You're not the reason I was late. We had doctor's appointment stuff. All's well. We're doing good. And look how big he's getting. He's a panther now. He's a tree panther. That's right. Hello. Hello. This is Bucky, everybody. Everybody, Bucky. He's what we colloquially refer to around here as adorables. He's a Mr. Man. Hi. I already gave you a churro. You gave you a treat. As soon as I came in the door, you made me even later than I already was. But I was like, look at the boy. Look at the preciousness. Look at how am I supposed to walk right past what? How in the world? All right. So I'm gonna put you down, and then you're gonna go find something to do, I guess. Maybe you can go irritate Murphy. That's it. That seems like a good job. That's a good job for you, mister. There you go. All right. Hi, welcome to the show. Sorry I'm late. Family stuff. Taking care of business. Taking care of the peoples. This is what I do. It's all right. And I hope you guys are great. Yes, that is Bucky, a.k.a. Buckaroo, a.k.a. James Buchanan Barnes. Appreciate it. Yes, happy Motang Monday to everybody. Hit the like, share the show, etc., etc., etc. Why is that light brighter than normal? Did they all just reset to the other? Like, what the heck-a-doodle? That's this one, right? Yeah, that's that one. And then this guy... Is that one? Okay, that one's not even on. It's this guy. Yeah, there you go. I don't know what the heck was happening. I'm getting all, like, glossy. Welcome to the show. Hit the like. I've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to jump straight into it. Since I started late, I apologize. I will do the best I can. But you should do the best you can as well, too. Super Chat, Venmo, like and subscribe, all the stuff that I'm supposed to tell you that I always forget to tell you. And, of course... what's the other thing? Patreon. That's what it is. Okay, so now I've remembered. Isn't that great? Don't you feel better that I feel better? Okay, so a couple of things right out of the gate. I figured there are a lot of places where we could start. I gotta say, this whatever's going on here, like this whole damn it about the tariffs thing. With Lutnik standing there like a rook, like he's like they dimmed the lights in the front because Trump didn't like how his face looks, so they just have this overhead, like the Lord is speaking to me through my piss-colored cotton candy hair, and gleaming off the dome of Nutlik. Now, some people have seen pieces of this. We have not done the whole thing. We very well may, but let's jump to who's really in charge, shall we? This is J.D. Vance complaining that Democrats are throwing a temper tantrum. He's on Fox News, where, real news goes to die. And, thank you so much, Corntech. Appreciate you.
Mr. Vice President, thank you so much.
Oh, by the way, being interviewed by Lara Trump. So the official, like, any point where they're like, oh dear, how dare you call us state media? The president's daughter-in-law is literally working at Fox and interviewing the vice president. Now, granted, it's on a weekend show when no one watches, but...
For sitting down with me again. Thank you. Let's start with the fact that...
You're my best, and I think my only guest.
That our border is now secure.
Wait, what's on her eyeball? What's going on? What's this? What is that? What is that growth? There. Is that an eyelid pimple? That's gnarly. I'm not going to be able to take my eyes off that.
Thank you. Let's start with the fact that...
Yeah, it looks like maybe even a black eye connected to that part of it, or some Botox went awry, or... Yeah, they're going for her lips and mist. I don't know how you could.
Our border is now secure, and...
Yeah, she's looking, it's okay, that's going to drive me crazy.
this president's immigration policies, this administration's immigration policies, despite grandstanding from Democrats, has led to the deportation of thousands of violent.
Seriously, this is going to be so distracting this whole time. She's got Gary Busey face.
Illegal criminals, and obviously we have seen the lowest border crossings in American history.
Correct.
Well, that assumes that real numbers are being kept at the same time they're claiming the numbers are way down.
Where do you think the immigration policy of the United States goes from here?
I'll tell you a story. So, and you can, if you watch the State of the Union address last year, you will see this, because the president added a line last year where he said, it turns out we didn't need a bunch of new laws, we just needed a new president. Which
is exactly why they passed in the big BS bill in the summer all the funding necessary, because it turns out you did actually need a fucking bill. You did actually need funding. You did actually need the Congress to allocate funds, and as they are in control of the purse strings for that particular project. You couldn't just walk in and go, I'm the president now, everybody go home. It didn't work.
I in the Senate had been kind of pushing back against this idea that we needed some, immigration law that actually was a bad immigration law. And so I was like...
By the way, almost all of it was incorporated into the big BS bill.
So into that line, but I stood up before anybody else and was just like, yes, absolutely. It really is the case.
Because he just totally improvised it, but you stood up before he was, when he said it, because you saw it on the paper.
You just needed a new president. It's not that hard to enforce the immigration laws. It just takes a little bit of political willpower.
And a lot of money. And look at that edit. There's an edit. Watch the switch.
It's not that hard to enforce the immigration laws. It just takes a little bit of political willpower. So where do we go?
Willpower.
From here? I mean, look, there are a couple of things that we're...
Now that all of our children are growing up, and how do we spend our time now that she's got a big thing on her eyeball? What is the thing on her face? It's nasty. That's why they're not cutting to her, 'cause it's creepy as fuck and it's scary. I think it's kind of a nasty infection.
Trying to do one, we're going to keep on getting people who came into the country illegally out of the country. There's this crazy narrative in the media.
Crazy.
That deportations are chaotic and they're terrible, when in reality, the only places where
they're actually down from Biden and Obama.
Deportations are chaotic is in Minneapolis and is in Los Angeles. So the president has asked us to continue with the immigration.
So you mean the places where you surged troops? Where you actually sent in troops? That's where it's chaotic? So it's just not natural to that environment. It's not natural to any environment. It happens to follow exactly when you assholes send in a bunch of troops. So, I mean, some people will argue correlation. I will argue causation.
Policy, but frankly, where you have the blue states, the blue cities that aren't willing to work with us, to force them to work with us. You saw...
Yeah. There's another edit. To force them to work with us.
The blue states, the blue cities that aren't willing to work with us, to force them to work with us. You saw murders come down by 20% in 2025. Well, a big part of that,
big part of that was just local.
A lot of reasons for it.
Yes, and you notice, by the way, that's not about convictions. That's about murders, the actual act of the murder, not the follow-up. And I would argue that number has continued to go down since the spike right after COVID, when nobody was really going to jail, and the standards were such that you couldn't, keep people incarcerated if they hadn't been found guilty yet, and there were a bunch of people running around that would have otherwise been found guilty, and so those people continued to kill people, and then once you finally normalize the courts, those people go to fucking jail where they're supposed to go, and then the number goes down, as it has been.
A big part of that is you've gotten these violent, criminal, illegal aliens out of the country.
Nope. No correlation, even in statistically, to that number. As a matter of fact, even in the situation where immigrants commit fewer violent crimes, they also, even when they do commit them, they're underreported by the community, because people in that community don't want people to come and arrest someone and then start poking around at who might be there legally or not. So they tend to underreport violent crime amongst the community. So
we're going to keep on doing that. We're going to keep on working at it. I'm sure the Democrats will throw up some obstacles in our way, but we're not going to...
You mean like the Constitution?
Stop.
Well, you brought up...
Or laws?
Minnesota, that's
Yes.
for sure been a very chaotic area. You now have the leaders there now saying,
I can't. I might have to stop. I don't know what that is. You got to address it. Can't they put a chyron under? Like, stop staring at the weird bump on her eyelid. It's fine. She's got an appointment to have it lanced next week. There aren't baby spiders growing inside of it. We hope. Something. I'm fine.
that they want reparations from ICE. So Jacob Fry and Tim Walz believe that they should be paid money. They say that the federal government must pay for what they broke. Now all of a sudden they care about money. Apparently they didn't care about it with the fraud.
Yep.
What is your response to that?
Well, my response is on behalf of the American people, would like reparations from them for allowing Somali fraudsters to steal billions of dollars from the American taxpayer.
Oh, you mean under the law written in 2020 that Trump signed into law, and in an attempt to keep the economy from flagging, insisted on as few guardrails as possible?
That live in Minnesota. They've done nothing to cut down on that fraud.
There've literally been arrests, and it's the state AG that's doing it. That would be something. I think 76 arrests, right? That would be, I think that's something. I mean, maybe it's not everything, but it's certainly not nothing.
I think it's absurd for people to say, we want reparations. Reparations for what? Because we enforced the law that the American people elected us to do? Because we took people who were setting up fraud?
Okay, hold on one second. I gotta, hold on. That was a Fox News story. Minnesota Dems want reparations, ICE, something. Okay. Minnesota Democrats demand ICE reparations amid $18 billion loss to Somalia. Okay, blah, blah, blah. This is the Tim Walz and Jacob Fry seek federal reimbursement as state faces scrutiny over blah, blah, blah. Okay, what's the top Minnesota Democrats are demanding the federal government, this is the quote from there, pay for what they broke. Hold on, let me put this in better terms so you can see it. Pay for what they're following weeks of DHS immigration enforcement surge. A demand that comes from blah, 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 fraudsters, yada, yada. Battled, both made public coverage. The federal government needs to pay for what they broke here. There's going to be accountability on the things that happened, but one of the things is the incredible and immense costs that were borne by the people of the state. The federal government needs to be responsible. You don't get to break things and then just leave without doing something about it. Fry estimated economic and financial costs of the city, top $203 million. Telling Minnesota Public Radio he would like to see the state and federal governments help pay. I'm not naive to think they were going to get the entire amount. Frey said about adding that about 76,000 Minneapolis residents require relief in some form or another. Minneapolis estimated $47 million in lost wages for people afraid to leave home for work, $81 million in small business revenue losses, and $4.7 million from hotel cancellations, according to the outlet, because nobody wanted to come visit while this shit was going on. Likelihood of federal reimbursement appeared grim. After Tom Homan said a lot of things were broken, but it wasn't because of the Trump administration. And again, this is about like basically them gumming up the works with their little North Korean military parades down the streets of all the suburbs. Did Governor Walz speak out against that with the overdose deaths and the sex trafficking and terrorists? No. Well, actually, he did. All governors deal with those levels on a state level all the time. To whom? Further, Walz's administration remains under national scrutiny. $18 billion in social services, fraud largely proportionate to the Somali immigrant community, blah, blah, blah. Millions of dollars flowed out of Minnesota to Mogadishu and other places. David Hawk, a Minnesota journalist who traveled to various alleged fraudulent child cares, testified to Senator Cruz that in a recent hearing, the cost of the tax could easily be $30 billion when you take everything into account. Sure, we'll just say that. Minnesota gubernatorial candidate Mike Lindell said either grossly negligent, incompetent, or complicit with the fraud. Walz has since stated he will not seek a third term, right? Kreitz reporter for that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's what they're saying. That was a Fox News article on that. And so it's the loss of business, tourism, and people afraid to leave their homes because there were fucking shootings on their street by federal like basically immigration officials and National Guard. I mean, that was what they were afraid of, I guess.
Daycare center.
By the way, yeah, hit that like, share the show. Remember, hitting the like is the greatest way to irritate the maggot in your life.
and tried to get
Also, if you are a maggot, don't forget to hit the thumbs down, because the algorithm doesn't care whether you like me or not. It just cares about connection and that you've actually been motivated to click something. That click motivation is the input. That is the note accompli. That is the only thing it cares about. Whether you clicked up or down, you're still watching and you're interacting. That's engaging. That's what it says. Boy, is that guy charming.
out of this country because we took sex criminals out of neighborhoods and either put them in prison
or gave them a seat on the Economic Council, or protected them with redactions, or elected them as your running mate.
or sent them far away from the United States of America. We're doing the job the American.
By the way, can I just say for the record, that is 100% trust me, bro. There is no there's no paperwork that's incidental beyond the same numbers any administration catches of people who've snuck across the border or come in or overstayed a visa or whatever, that were engaged in shit like that. They always, when they are busted, they are always either incarcerated or deported to a country that will incarcerate them. That's what always happens. You don't get points for just doing the regular job. And the numbers of those folks aren't up by any measure. Certainly not indicative of the idea that you have 25 million lunatics from asylums sneaking into the country.
American people elected us to do. No one is talking about anything other than enforce the law against criminal illegal aliens in the United States of America. It's really...
Well, yeah, you are, because well, okay, I think I know his workaround here. They consider anyone who entered the country illegally to be a criminal alien, because technically you broke the law, and that's what criminals do. Just to clarify. That's why he thinks he can say that sentence without equivocation. The reality is that he wants you to think that he's saying that in the kind of like broad political way of saying it, whereas what he wants the Fox News audience to hear is that we're only kicking out and we're going after these, egregious monsters that Trump was talking about. And those are really the only people we're tossing out, because apparently a 5-year-old with cancer can be, the next Epstein.
really not that hard. And it
is actually, or your fucking poll numbers wouldn't be in the shitter right now.
It's a huge indictment of Jacob Fry and frankly, the entire far left, that they made that their cause of the day, letting violent sex offenders stay on the streets of America. The president.
Yeah, that's not what they were doing. Not at all. The big question is, why can't you go after the, quote, violent sex offenders like every other administration does, but not in the process shoot American citizens on American streets, or do these fucking military parades, or barge in unannounced without a full search warrant into an entire apartment building, for example, to terrorize everyone there, to get one person, but sort of to kind of like, well, while we were in there, we spotted this person and that person, so we're just going to start rounding them up. So if there's one person living in there that we could charge as a criminal alien or even suspect as one, and a lot of times they turn out not to be criminal, while you're there, you can see that the place they live might have a few people that aren't documented. And then it's a great way to cover a papers, please law, really.
It's just not going to go for that.
Well, the irony doesn't end there, unfortunately, for the Democrats. They've now thrust us into a DHS shutdown, and they...
No, they didn't. No, they just have standards on what they will pass, and Republicans agreed to reopen the government with discussion to add limitations on DHS funding in the next policy, like in a separate adjunct bill. But the Republicans refuse to do it. So if you're not going to listen to it or tee it up or any of those kind of things, the shutdown's, again, on you.
Claim the reason is that they want more oversight into ICE and CBP, but in doing so have actually paused any ongoing audits into federal law enforcement conduct. So this clearly is all...
No, that's not true. The only thing that would be paused is internal DHS reviews, which no one actually believes under Kristi Noem and Tom Homan would be a thorough investigation anyways. A real investigation would be via the FBI or the DOJ and an arm of it that is not, sucked up under Pam Bondi or Kash Patel's legal definition of fealty to the president of the United States. So no, that those investigations have not gone out the window. And as a matter of fact, what might have slowed down was their, I guess, limiting evidentiary reach to the locals who were investigating Preddy's killing, for example.
Political play.
Yeah, so I actually talked to a couple of my former Senate colleagues, people who are able to work across the aisle, who have good relationships with Democrats, and I said, look,
unlike you,
please come to me and the president and tell me, what is it exactly the Democrats want to allow us to continue to enforce the border? What is it that they're asking?
Yeah, that's not the issue. It's not continuing enforcement at the border. That's not it at all. As a matter of fact, ICE works largely inside the country. CBP works largely inside the country. Other than the people guarding the gates themselves or operating at ports, the vast majority of them work in the interior. And the oversight is about the interior. That's what that's about. Because you're hiring a bunch of dudes and you've taken Nazi tattoo off the list of no-goes.
For what policy changes? We're not going to agree with a lot of them, but at least let's put an offer on the table.
This is going to be fucking irritating. Okay. Whoops. Funding to resume. One moment, please. Okay. Here's what they're like. Okay. What was his argument? Let's hear it again. Let's hear it again. What is this?
And what's become to allow us to continue to enforce the border? What is it that they're asking for? What policy changes? We're not going to agree with a lot of them, but at least let's put an offer on the table. And what's become abundantly clear is there is no offer on the table.
There is specifically an offer on the table. Mandatory body cameras, requiring all ICE agents to wear and use body cameras. Ban on masking, prohibiting agents from covering their faces during operations. Judicial warrants, enforcing stricter requirements for judicial warrants rather than administrative ones for immigration arrests. Ending roving patrols, halting broad dragnet-style immigration operations, and increased accountability, proposing measures to curb what they would use as excessive force and get ICE under control. Those would be the primary ones. And now, I don't think they're going to get a ban on masking because the wording is almost impossible to create if we were to have. That would include gas masks. It would also include N95 masks if there was another pandemic. So you'd have to be specific to masks used just to disguise their appearance, which again, if they're dealing with a cartel raid, they would have to wear for their own protection. I would say that ship has sailed. Mandatory body cameras, though, on the other hand, absolutely could go. And that would go a long way towards behavioral modification of the agents. And then the other ones, of course.
They're just throwing a temper tantrum.
Nope, they have a list of actual improvements they want to see that have worked in regular law enforcement, and there is no reason why they wouldn't work in ICE.
And hoping that the president will give up entirely on the idea of border enforcement.
Yeah, that's not, and nobody is looking for that. No one. I mean, no one in any position of power or that has any material votes. I mean, I'm sure there are imagine there's no country crowd that are against all border enforcement for spiritual reasons, but that's not what this is at all. And by the way, what an enormously shitty straw man. That's literally made out of plastic straws.
So what we will be willing to do is talk to anybody about how we can make the enforcement of our immigration laws easier and smoother. We're willing to have that conversation.
I don't know, talk to Biden. He managed to arrest a lot of the same people. He had higher numbers than you did, and no American citizens were killed in the process.
But we're not going to give up on the American border.
Well, I imagine.
Also, notice this idiotic binary false choice, both that he keeps saying over and over, and she keeps letting him get away with. And also, is it still on her face? I can't look. Is it still there? It's still there, isn't it?
And after the shutdown ends,
it's the too much mascara that draws attention to it as well. God damn.
number one priority will be passing the Save America Act.
Absolutely.
Why is that so important for this country?
It's so simple. To get on an airplane, you need voter ID.
No, you don't. You don't have to be a registered voter to get on an airplane. Also, you don't have a constitutional right to ride on a commercial airplane, dumb fuck. You don't. United Airlines is not legally obligated, if you are over the age of 18 and a U.S. citizen, to board one of their airplanes and take it wherever the fuck you want. Voting is a right, shithead. Oh my God, this is dumb.
To buy a beer, you need...
Yeah. First of all, it's a variable standard. But, Canada's 18, United States is 21. But you also don't have a right to buy beer. Sorry. That's not in the Constitution. You have a right to vote. That it is the government's responsibility to assure that inalienable right. And if they put a step between you and being able to do it, namely forcing you to carry an ID that you have to pay for, if they don't provide it for free, if that's the standard, then it's a violation of their rights. It's un-American.
Voter ID. But to do the most important thing that we do as American citizens, exercising our right to vote, we let anybody vote without any confirmation they actually have the right to vote in our elections.
That's such a lie. It's stupid. When you register, you show ID and you sign an affidavit that you are a citizen and you meet all the criteria, which is punishable by prison if you're lying. When you show up, a lot of times you're on a list there and you tell them your name because it's your polling place. We have assigned polling places, which is another way that we assure that people are voting. Provisional ballots are another thing entirely, but they have to be adjudicated later and they may not be at all. They could be wholly tossed out if they're found not to be legit. But the primary ones at your polling place, if you came in and somebody else had already voted in your name or you voted in somebody else's name, you can go to jail. That's a standard. And again, it's the kind of standard you have when you're establishing a right, not a privilege. Because if somebody else takes your vote, it is a violation of your rights. They are denying you your civil rights.
Now, I think, Laura, that's actually a form of theft. Because let's say that you and...
No, it's a form of theft to charge somebody for an ID that they need to carry out a right that is inalienable.
American citizens show up and vote for a candidate, and then somebody else who has no right to vote shows up and votes for a totally different candidate, that person is...
What if they vote for the same candidate, like all the votes that Trump bought in the last election?
Stealing your vote away from you, stealing your sovereignty as an American citizen. It's very disgraceful. Now, what the Democrats will say, and I always find this so funny, they'll say it's racist to ask for voter ID.
Nope. It's not racist to ask for voter ID. It is intentionally discriminatory towards impoverished peoples, of which we have a disproportionate amount of minority in the minority community who are poorer than the average. And those people don't often have full ID. They don't have all their documents in order. They're ice skating uphill just to make fucking dinner that night, much less having their paperwork in order so that they can vote, even though they should be able to do it literally by using the technology that we have today. They should be able to be printed a card that shows that they have that right for free. It would cost fucking next to nothing. But it's not just against racial groups. It's any impoverished person in this country. That's why. And because Republicans in the past have counted on a disproportionate number of black people being in poverty, this is a great system to keep those people from voting. Hence, racists use it all the time. Asking for the ID isn't racist, but the purpose for asking it behind it is a lot of times.
I actually think that's kind of racist. Assuming that people of color can't get a driver's license?
Nope. It's not assuming that they can't get a driver's license. It's assuming that people who are impoverished, who maybe even can't afford a car, maybe also can't get around or find a way to get an ID that isn't a driver's license and that is provided for them by the state so they don't have to fucking pay for the goddamn thing.
And by the way, if you look at the polling, black, brown, Asian, everybody agrees it is a 90-10 issue that we should have voter ID to vote in our elections. The other thing, and this is my...
I agree, but I also think that ID has to be provided for free, or you are creating the legal justification for a poll tax. Going forward, there would be a myriad of reasons why you could say, oh, it's going to cost you $10 to vote because it's a processing fee. Your voting now requires, and because we can charge you for the ID, we can also charge you shipping and handling on your vote once it leaves here.
Favorite.
And then a bunch of people file a lawsuit that says, well, we don't vote, so why should we have our taxes have to pay for voting if we disagree with it? So then they go, okay, well, now we'll do it by a fee level. Therefore, anybody who doesn't have a fee, can't afford the fee, can't vote. You see how this shit works?
Democrats will say, Laura, well, voter ID is not necessary because nobody who's not allowed to vote ever votes in our elections. And my response to that is,
have you been to the villages in Florida who all voted for Trump 4 times apiece?
well, if nobody who shouldn't vote does vote, then why do you care if we check their ID?
Because you'll be discriminated against people who don't have one, who have the right to vote, no matter who they are. That's exactly why. And by the way, you could see this the hidden anger in this freeze frame, can't you? This is a guy who is second banana to a dude who he knows his brain is soup.
Just to be extra careful.
Well, obviously, this is going to be an important thing, especially as we head towards the midterms in November. If you had to break down for Republican candidates right now what you think their messaging needs to be.
I'm going to enjoy this.
To their constituents or potential constituents around the country, what would you say the message needs to be?
Most persuadable voters are voting on, did you guys make my life better? And I think
so no.
we have a very good record to run on that account. By the way, Laura, it's going to get better because we're going to have the...
Okay, so you don't. If you do have a great record to run on, then explain to how you could run on it right fucking now. How about that? Explain to everybody, we got a great record, okay? And it's going to get better because it actually kind of sucks right now.
Biggest tax return season in 2026 because the working families tax cuts passed. If you go back to day one of the Biden administration.
So you're just going to buy these votes. The money won't go as far. Your prices are still going up. Health insurance has been fucking scuttled for, millions of people. And the Epstein files are still locked up in a closet in Pam Bondi's office and probably buried on Zorro Ranch someplace with a bunch of cadavers. But, we're going to write you a little stimmy. We're going to give you an insta-stimmy. And if you don't vote for us, I don't even think you're really an American.
To day one of the second Trump administration, the average American family lost $3,000. $3,000 of take-home pay because of inflation, because of lower wages, because of higher taxes.
January inflation, 2.4%, again, over the mean, sure. Gas prices down 7.5%. Are they hoping people will think that's $7.50? And again, wages up 11%, but jobs are down because what happens is you fire this guy, keep this guy, and pay him a little bit more. That's why. That's exactly the numbers. That's why they're calling it like a jobless boom. Fuel oil prices, boy, slather that across like every possible version of stuff. Down 4.2%. Based on what?
In the first year of the second Trump administration, the average American family gained $1,200.
So they're still underwater, $1,800 from the COVID shock, and you're not incorporating any of the extra costs created by tariffs at all. I'm sorry, did I pronounce that word right? I don't think I did. Hold on, it's tariffs. All right.
Do you want to keep the momentum? That's what I want.
Yeah, that's what we got right now. That's great. Momentum. Yeah. They even made a little arrow going the right way. Hey, get it? Because we were going the wrong way. When we show a Democrat graphic where the arrow goes the other way, which means even if the arrows are good, if we're going wrong direction. But if it's a Republican, the arrow goes that way. So get it? Things are awesome. What affordability crisis.
You know how I grew up, Laura. You know I grew up in a family where when people lose $3,000 of take-home pay, that is catastrophic. That is food that doesn't get put on the table. That's prescription drugs that don't get bought. That's real sacrifices that happen all across our country.
Right. That was COVID. We all went through it together. That was a natural expression of that. Wait till the AI job losses start to stack up. You want to talk about the lack of take-home pay.
If we can get the American people to continue to gain in their prosperity, to continue to get a little bit richer as opposed to a lot poorer, which is what happened under Biden and the Democrats.
No, they didn't. They absolutely didn't. That 3,000 was basically in wage loss because of COVID, which was made up for like 4 times by any of the support payments that were put out for the vast majority of people. Child tax credit wiped that out almost entirely in 1 year.
That is why we're here. Let's double down on what's working.
Absolutely.
By the way, they got rid of the child tax credit, and therefore that's why it went from 3,000 down to 1,200 up instead of the entirety of the direct, because they eliminated that. Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of issues are going to be addressed coming up next week in the State of the Union.
Absolutely.
So without getting ahead of the president and what he's going to say, what are top priorities for this administration?
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of the president, but look.
Why don't you guys just throw this interview in a fucking Cuisinart? Look at the slapdash editing on Laura's show. They just got to cut all the air out of this because both of them are boring Fox viewers. I mean, age-wise, this is a napping crowd.
What are top
watch the cuts on this piece right here.
Priorities for this administration?
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of the president, but look, you're going to hear a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it, but someone needs to check on this fucker's neck.
A lot about the importance of bringing jobs back into our country, of
You mean with these factories that won't have any people in them?
reshoring manufacturing, of all these great factories that are being built.
Oh yeah, these great factories like AI factories, which is a giant mainframe with all of 6 people, mostly janitors walking around in it.
But when they turn on and you're hiring thousands of American workers per
To do what? I'm dead serious. When these factories turn on, what the fuck do you think thousands of people are going to do in these places? Are you nuts?
factory, that's when the real Trump...
Yeah. So hang out. It's going to be a couple of years. Might not even happen until after this term. But trust us, bro. These factories are going to be awesome. They're not going to be automated like these ones you've seen before. We're going back to the Model T era. It's just going to be people in a fucking a leather fucking overalls and like they're a welding torch attached to a giant fucking gas line, just by hand, hammering out slabs of tin.
I think starts. I think he's going to talk about regulatory change, the importance of lowering energy prices for American citizens, because, if you lower a person's gas bill or you lower a person's electricity bill, yeah, that's good because they're paying less money for gas and electricity. But it also means the farmer who is taking the food to the grocery store, that price goes down because...
Hey, real quick, how the fuck, if you're building all these AI plants and these new factories, which draw more power than they produce in singular output, how the fuck is that going to lower people's energy costs? I mean, the way he talks about it, it's like we're opening a bunch of steel foundries. So if you went back to 1930s levels of coal, you wouldn't lower people's costs because of the volume of human beings in the country.
The farmer's paying less for gas and electricity too. So
the farmer, the poor farmer, just, of course, most of them are operating on battery systems and giant groups of solar panels for their electric tractor, but they're just commie and gay and something.
We hear a lot about the Trump energy boom, which is very powerful. We've got record low energy prices, and that's a very good...
No, we don't. We don't have record low energy price. What the fuck? The gas is like $2.50 a gallon anyways. $2.75 in the lowest areas. If he attacks Iran, believe me, the price will go up.
Thing to point to.
Well, just before your wife The second lady joins
Yep.
us. I want to ask you, because I feel like she might get in here and make you a little more humble about her. What is it?
Oh, and aren't I being charming? Oh gosh, Laura, you asked me a question like that, and I'm overwhelmed to answer it for you. This is me being a person.
You want America to know before she sits down with us
What do you want to know about the messages?
about America's second lady?
I know her.
Apparently, who Laura can't fucking stand, because look at the vein in her
You want
forehead.
America to know before she sits down with us about America's second lady.
It just, you see it just pulse. Like it grew as you. What do you want to know about America's second lady before she comes in here and fucks up my whole vibe?
I know her most of all as a great mom and a great wife. As a
Great. Oh, this is great. You know, great label, and she's also another great label. You know, and that's the important thing, because mom and babies and husband and stuff.
person who supports me, who's so
Yeah, that's what we were worried about. I was really like, but does she support him?
good to the kids, who makes it.
She's good to the kids? Really? What a weird mom. How does she do it? I mean, should we call CPS, CBS, Child Protective Services?
Possible for them to grow up as normal kids. But I think that takes a special skill. And so if you're an American,
With the 3 Band-Aids that kid has on his fingers, that's what you want to go with? That's the... What the fuck drawer did you slam her hand in?
citizen wondering what we have in our second lady, this is a person who doesn't really care about the limelight, who's not.
This is a person. She's a person, and also wife, and also mom of children who she is nice to. I'm sorry, is the amount of love gushing out of me overwhelming your human sensors? Jesus, this is a person. Who the fuck talks like that?
Trying to sort of get out there in front of the crowds all the time.
Yeah, she knows her place. She doesn't try to. She stays shut up. Like that. I can't say that, but
Who
basically,
just wants to give her kids a good life, and who wants.
are they your kids too? Is this breaking news? Were these with her a previous husband, or was she surrogating for somebody else? What the fuck? Her kids? Wouldn't you say our kids? Right? You would say our if they were yours, right?
To be as good of a public servant as possible. I think
Sorry, she wants to what?
to give her kids a good life, and who wants to be as good of a public servant as possible. I think that's what we should want.
Sorry, she's not a public servant. She's married to a public servant. Sort of. Good God. So is this what Trump liked in him, is that he talks about his wife like she's a cardboard cutout? That's just like, this is a placeholder, so no one will know I'm gay. Like, this fucking reeks of that. Like, this is how you, when you're bad at talking about your beard.
Out of our public leaders, and certainly they have it in our second lady. I guess the other thing I'd say is she really is wicked smart. Usha has this ability to take extremely complicated and a large volume of information.
Unlike other women, women normally, they have, this is where they really fail to shine, as we like to say.
It somehow goes in her head.
I'm guessing through her ears or her eyeballs, depending on if she's reading it or hearing it. Maybe she's watching a video, both. It somehow goes into her head. I don't know. She's weird. As a human being, she, I don't know, has sensory organs that... All right.
It comes out, and it makes total sense, and she's organized it. She's able to just process a ton of information. She's...
Great. It sounds like he's selling an AI. It's amazing. This new calculator, I'd totally fuck it, bro.
super smart. And I think that because of that, she's able to...
Like what? So much stuff, like all this, and she managed to come out with... She manages to dumb it down for me, I think is what you're kind of saying, while avoiding giving her a compliment? Good God.
caused me to think about things in a different way.
That's odd for a partner in life.
And I think that makes her,
Like what? An example? I mean, you can't give one, obviously, because this is nonsense, but...
Not just a great partner to me, but I think she adds a lot of value to the American people. She doesn't like to talk about it. She doesn't like to be out there, but she loves this country, and I think she's doing a great job.
Hey,
At what? Doing a great job at what? Being shut up wife? Holy shit. What is it with these assholes that talk about their spouses in like the weirdest, most generic terms? That's amazing. Fucking bizarre. And like, she's a, what would you like to say about your wife? Well, she's a person who does wife thing. And also, while wifing, also has mothered. And in mothering, she's good at doing tasks that are difficult sometimes and normal in some ways, but also better than or worse than some other people who do similar tasks. I tried to write that on a Valentine's Day card, and it slammed shut on my finger. It still hurts. What the fuck? All right. Speaking of what the fuck, I've missed this guy. Can we bring in look who's back. It's our buddy Greg Kelly, the most miserable man on the internet. He has just apparently been really dedicating himself lately to becoming even more miserable. He's apparently only been kicking out like 2-minute slices, which I think we have to grab more. Like we'll use these as little palate cleansers, because apparently nobody at Newsmax thinks he's worthy of a 7-minute segment anymore. This was 3 minutes, blissfully short. Believe me, I wish they were all this blissfully short. We'd get so much more shit in during the day. But yeah, I don't know if he's been on vacation or took a sabbatical posing as a big boy doll outside of a Frisch's. I don't know, but this is Greg Kelly. The Supreme Court has Trump derangement syndrome.
ignorant and loud.
How dare you speak of Trump that way?
Tariffs!
I mean, honestly.
Potatoes and chicken.
You are talking about Trump, I'm assuming.
I kind of like that somehow. It does describe a lot of people, depraved, ignorant, loud. And yeah, they mean business when these protesters show up, as they have been doing a lot. Maybe we should think about putting Supreme
All right, he's picking up in the middle of a thought, and this is a fucking mess already.
Court justices on military bases. I mean, they're just
Why? Because Trump is threatening them more than any protesters ever did?
too accessible to the public. By the way, this is all against...
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Is he trying to defend them that the reason they voted this way is because they're afraid of being killed by gay protesters who are going to apparently blitz through the line of marshals on their lawn?
the law, federal law. You can't do it. They did it to Kavanaugh for about a year. Kavanaugh, however, voted with the minority. His decision was beautiful. More on that in a moment.
Well, it was also completely flawed and failed the test of the 6 other justices. It wasn't 5-4. It wasn't a hair whisker. It was definitely like these 3 were given a pass to basically suck up to Trump to protect the other conservatives on the court because they knew this is the way it would go.
But President Trump, again...
Oh, man, what is he going to...
No, not running away from something. A lot of other presidents, they would just ignore it or put out a statement. Nope. He confronted the cameras, said what he had to say, and took questions.
It's called whining. Other presidents would recognize the separation of powers and understand that they had to either readdress their grievance to the court in another challenge or appeal the decision as opposed to just bitch and whine.
This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security.
Security.
And also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important.
So important for our country. I was just about to say, I had an idea. I was going to say something. Then when I looked up, I fucking lost it. And so I just went to sort of the default for, is it good for our country, bad for our country? I'll say it's bad for our country. And then shake my head. Where was I?
I am not accustomed to hearing presidents talk like that.
be a whiny bitch, you mean? Or
It truly is from the heart. They want the
yeah, it's so refreshing. I've never heard any president drag out a statement against the Supreme Court ruling that they disagreed with in a more boring, facile, and flaccid way.
best for the country. In his view, this was best for the country, not for the party, not for the prestige of the presidency.
Well, that's what you hide behind. What's he gonna say? I'm never gonna be able to feather my nest now. Like, I can't patch the hole in the deficit that I created with overspending and my stupid big bullshit bill now. I need the tariff money.
But for the
I'm buying votes with tax returns. I can't refunds. I can't. I need that money to patch the hole so I can buy the voters in a year when we've got a midterm. That's what's he gonna? Is that what he's gonna say? I mean, that's what he's saying in the office. That's what he's yelling at everybody. But yeah, the cameras are rolling.
country. And if folks can't see that, well, I think it's Trump derangement syndrome, or they're partially blind, because I've been watching this stuff for a long time.
Yeah, you're more than a participant in the news. You're an observer with only a glancing understanding of the law underlying all of it. And thank God we're here and with you right now for this commentary that really, cuts to the bone, that really bears the soul of what's the policy here again?
And this is genuine.
He's my daddy, and I miss him, and he won't call me anymore because my ratings are lower than Andrew Sullivan's.
Next, please.
The good news is that there are
Super exciting. You picked the most energetic clips. This is good.
methods, practices, statutes, and authorities as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision.
Yeah, if it was waiting for it, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I've been waiting to ask the Supreme Court about
Potatoes and chicken.
I mean it.
Tariffs.
That's what I meant.
And also is recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as president.
You don't have any IEEPA tariffs. That was what was found in the ruling. There aren't IEEPA tariffs. You can embargo and sanction countries for a temporary period of time, but it's got to, eventually you're going to have to go to Congress. There are no tariffs in IEEPA. That's ultimately what they decided.
President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important, I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything, I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court.
Again, this is fucking gibberish. This is because he was forced to walk back his tariffs a half a dozen times over the last year because of deals he made with some countries to sell him a fucking golf course or feather his nest some other way, or because they literally were the countries and the people in the United States who were buying from those countries were too powerful and had his fucking cell phone number.
Because I understand the court. I understand how they are very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy.
Sorry, that's pathetic. It's really weird. If there's a single sentence that screams dementia, it's I wanted to be a good boy.
Good boy. And he does have an understanding of the court the way few people can when you're...
Oh yeah? Then why'd he fucking lose, dummy? If he read the dissenting opinion, said there's no way you can argue with this. And he didn't read it, obviously, but he said he did. And he said there's no way you can argue with it. Well, 6 other judges did and won. The other 2 dissenters joined in the dissent, but that doesn't mean they agree with the points of the dissent. They just dissent from the 6. If the dissenters were forced to break down their dissent individually, because I don't think they would even bother in this situation, or they certainly didn't that I could see, they wouldn't. it would fall apart. Their arguments would just be like, he got me this job, would be one of them.
A plaintiff, when you're a defendant, when you are in so many...
Fuck, what are you talking about? Like, what do you want? You want to make OJ the fucking AG then? Because of how many times he's been through court? I mean, he's dead now, obviously, but you get my point.
Different ways he's been in front of this court. Now, the IEPA standard, this is EPA. Now, what is that? I had never heard of it before, to be honest.
Really? I would have thought a man of your stature in the news would have figured this out, considering this was Trump's reasoning all of last year.
But it's the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a 1977 law giving the president broad authority during a national emergency.
Right. He just defined emergency in the same way that he calls cartels terrorists so he can use the AUMF to attack foreign countries without a declaration of war. AIPA is also dealing with a specific emergency. None of the criterion, for, I always mix those up, for an emergency have been met. No, thanks. Sorry. Thanks for that breakdown, Greg. Why don't you run it by
national emergency. This is one law.
It is true. It is one law. Yeah. It's on the books. Yeah, it's a single law. It's not a bunch of them. There's standards within the law, sure, none of which allow the president to manufacture tariffs out of nowhere, specifically.
A lot of other provisions in the government that we believe allows the president to impose tariffs for the
Yeah, temporarily, and then other ones after an investigation that proves, and then oftentimes that can be fought out in international trade court, which takes months and sometimes years. So that's why he didn't want to do it, because he's full of shit. He's like, they are unfair to us. Right, because we buy more from them than they buy from us. Well, we have 340 million people and we're the biggest economy in the world. Almost no one can buy from us as much as we buy from them.
national security.
The American consumer is dominant, motherfucker. How dare you? Nobody can stand up to the American consumer. We buy shit. There is no Italians, French, English, Czech. But you guys can't even don't even front. You can't buy, and you can't. Throw down, motherfucker. Throw down. The American consumer reigns supreme.
Of the country.
What? That was the end of it? That was it?
To impose tariffs for the national security of the country.
Cut. Oh yeah? Based on what? What would the national security be? That our private companies are richer than other countries' private companies? What's the reasoning there? That's effectively using a law that's basically a declaration of economic war. They're treating us very unfairly, and we were run by stupid people. Cool. Why don't you show up at the Supreme Court and make that argument in court? Why don't you do that? I would have loved to hear that. Okay, real quick, and I do mean real quick. So the Heritage Foundation is one of the organizations that picks Trump's judges, right? The CEO of the Heritage Foundation, that's this guy, was on Peanut Butter Dickhead's show, and his point of attack is Thomas Massie. No one's threatening Massie's life. Heritage Foundation CEO calls out Epstein files hysterics. The hysterics that's right here. Yeah, Epstein files aren't that important. You guys are a bunch of girls' blouses. Also, Republican. There's another Republican. They even cut Ro Khanna out of the shot. They just put MTG in for good measure. But these are all Epstein victims behind them, which this guy apparently thinks is hysteria.
Yeah. How do you think because when you look,
By the way, I really enjoyed PDB's little Bill Maher side desk thing that he had with a fucking step and repeat and another sign company. That, I mean, it gives it that high dollar feel. You know what I mean? That what is it? A $1,200 carve sign and a step and repeat. That's another $300. I mean, and then you got the old fashioned microphones, an IKEA desk, and 2 chairs from Office Depot and a couple of flags. I mean, this screams money.
look at the list of things that they've gotten right and have done good job. Murder being down 21%.
Also not the federal government.
You know, border locked in. No one's coming in. We're not dealing with any of that stuff.
And fentanyl still is available and as cheap as it ever was, proving that it was never a primary conduit for that drug.
How do you think they handled Epstein? Could they have done
How do you handle too much caffeine? Could you stop kicking your foot so your weird little chair doesn't flicker and make noise?
it any differently? Because, you know, it was a fumble. It is becoming an issue that everybody's talking about. When it comes down to kids, nobody cares if you're Republican, Democrat. It's kids. You don't mess with kids, right? How could they have done that?
Well, apparently, if it's Matt Gaetz, yeah. I mean, Denny Hastert, anybody?
Differently.
What was the guy who Republicans had on the Missing and Exploited Children's Commission that was sexting with 12-year-old boys? Remember that guy? He was a Republican, long-standing member of the party.
Our expectation at Heritage in any situation like this, including this one, obviously, is full transparency. And
Oh, really? Why would you expect that from the guy who's in it?
my friend, Congressman Clay Higgins, he's a congressman from my hometown of Lafayette,
Oh, is he the one who voted against? I think he's the only guy who voted against it.
Louisiana, has been thoughtful in saying, yes, you do that, but you also have to make sure that you protect innocent lives, you know, whether they be victims who've chosen not to be named and identified, or
Yeah, that wasn't his concern at all. The law itself had a provision to redact victims' names. And as a matter of fact, it overreached into women who helped Epstein. It just deferred it to the idea that all the women noted in the files at all must be victims, anyone except Ghislaine Maxwell, which, by the way, his 4 assistants should be included in co-conspirators. And I think that'll shake out, especially if we take the House and the Senate. But no, that wasn't Higgins's problem at all. He wasn't worried about victims. That's in the law. He was worried about rich dickheads who hung out with Epstein, who, by the way, there have been a bunch of them who've said, yeah, that's me in the picture. I met him at this event. I never hung out with him again. It's true. And they've moved on. They have not had a problem. But Howard Lutnik and Donald Trump, that's another story.
people who might be wrongly accused of wrongdoing. And as long as you can achieve transparency with that, that always needs to be the gold standard. Any administration or...
Also, by the way, he didn't want the standards higher. He voted against it. He voted against the Epstein Transparency Act.
Or congressional leadership that falls short of that.
Yes, and also I'd like to point out that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Bongholio released the names of victims, and what I would argue was a veiled threat on their lives, hiding the names of the victimizers, but releasing the names of the victims so that people know where you live now. You really want to talk out? You want to say something about the president and his buddies? Wouldn't be good for you. And if we were planning on knocking you off at all, we got a million more suspects now that we've released your name. It could be some rando maggot who just doesn't like you anymore. So it's way easier to kill a victim once their name has been exposed. God forbid.
Is not doing an A-plus job.
How dare you?
Right. Did you think Epstein was going to become this big of an issue?
I did, because I'm close to everyday Americans. I spend...
Really? What do they do? Take out your trash and mow your lawn?
as little time in Washington, D.C. as I can, because it is a place where the water really does taste differently. And so...
It really doesn't?
Not just because of my job, but through my own hobbies. I'm out talking to everyday people, and they...
Talking to everyday people is one of my hobbies. Some people like to whittle. I like to walk down the street and spark up conversations with people wearing MAGA hats and pretend I'm talking to strangers.
Knew something was wrong there. to state the obvious, and they knew that something needed to be done. And if people perceive that there isn't full transparency, all that's going to do in our media environment is just sustain the controversy, right?
How do you?
Well, also, beyond the media controversy and sustaining anything like that, or people seeing what they don't think is full transparency and that leading to some sort of media cycle that's somehow evil, and that the media are just sitting there like vultures waiting for Trump to fuck up a little bit by hiding one little thing. The reality is it's not that these people are, are going to become suspicious. They are increasingly becoming aware that Donald Trump is intentionally protecting himself and his rich friends, especially the ones that he hired into his cabinet. There are an inordinate number of people in his cabinet who are in the Epstein files. There's been a shit ton of talk about people like Larry Summers, who was around Obama, and what's her name, Hemweller or whatever her name, the lawyer who worked with Clinton, like single people in these giant administrations, in these organizations, and in their campaigns, single people, and yet there are over a dozen current sitting Trump cabinet members, ambassadors, economic, I would guess, Lutnik's his economic advisor, but like they have these outside economic people that he talks to as well. But there's over a dozen people that are actually getting a government paycheck that are in the Epstein files egregiously, like full of that said gnarly shit. Not just, oh, I was on the plane once, like Chris Tucker or something.
Handle it now. Now that it's front and center, Thomas Massey's up there, Rokana's with him. You got social media behind a lot of guys. Massey has to get up and say, I want everybody to know I'm not suicidal. I'm not thinking about when's the last time somebody who was a representative got up and said something like that. Pam Bondi, right there, I'm not suicidal. I eat healthy food. The brakes on my car and trucks are in good shape. I practice good trigger discipline and never point a gun at anyone, including myself. There are no deep pools of water on my farm, and I'm a pretty good swimmer. That's funny when he says something like that.
It's funny when he types something like that. He didn't say it. He typed it. It's how it's, and he meant it to be snarky, but at the same time go, I'm aware of the threat because people are threatening me.
Right?
Yeah, but I'll say about him, with respect to him and his office, that kind of thing doesn't help. Because if on the one hand you're going to call for transparency, which we do at Heritage, you also need the policymakers to be serious and sober about this. No one's threatening his life. And
yes, they are. He has received death threats. So has Thomas Massey. So has fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene, dipshit. Of course they have. Now, you can argue about whether or not to take them seriously, but you can't tell from where you fucking sit.
So I would caution Mr. Massey, anyone in Congress, about being too cute with something that the Americans want to get to the bottom of. Go focus on the transparency.
He is focused on the transparency. That's why he's getting death threats. It's also why people are concerned all the time and talk to him about, they're going to say you were suicidal and he had to respond and kind of jokingly to let them off the hook.
Don't see this as an opportunity to make X posts, and let's get to the bottom of it.
Somebody would say, well, just a minute ago.
He drafted the fucking bill, dummy. He got the discharge petition passed. He partnered with a Democrat, and they got enough votes to force the vote, which passed overwhelmingly. Massey's one of the few people you could argue have done zero fuck around when it comes to the Epstein files.
We quoted a tweet by Trump saying, thank you for your attention to this minor matter, right? Like,
not about the Epstein issue, about a comedian who needed to be busted on the chops.
Right.
Very different issues.
But even, even with this, and by the way, we've invited Massey on multiple times. He's never come down here, and people are like, why don't you invite Massey on? We'd love to talk to him. We've had Rokana on to see, what position he has, and he'll say, 91% of the time I support the president, but the 9% that I don't is, you've heard him say that before, right? So, by the way, this, if it continues this way, I saw somebody, we were talking yesterday or the day before, they're suggesting maybe Pam Bondi step aside and bring in Trey Gowdy in, right?
Do these motherfuckers know anyone who wasn't on television? Trey fucking Gowdy? Here's a good idea. You want to show you want Trump to show some fucking maturity in this situation for real? Have him bring in somebody nobody's ever heard of. Just somebody who knows how to do the fucking job. They don't have a cute name like Ty Cobb or Raisin Kane. They're just effective and no bullshit. Well, he can't. You know why? Because he doesn't know anybody like that.
Some of the conversations. Yeah. And I'm a big Gowdy guy. I'm a very big Gowdy guy. I think
I could look at you and tell that you're a big Gowdy guy.
Gowdy just has the presence. He can fight. He's smart. Not that Pam Bondi's not, but this is a heavyweight.
You kind of mean she's not, though. Let's be honest.
Job. This is not an easy job to handle. And I don't know if you know.
But Matt Gaetz could have done it, right? He was first choice. Maybe bring him back in. Get another bite at that fucking apple.
No, Bondi even expected it to be this difficult because she made some promises, then she didn't, then it made it bigger, then it was an issue. So, what do you do now?
Yeah, what do you do when you can't hire someone who's effective because they might actually do the job, and then the shit really hits the fan?
You know, because if it keeps going, it's not going to get any better. Every day something new pops up, and it's just...
Yeah, that's the best point he's made. It's not going to get any better. Full stop.
Distracting to the current administration.
No, it's not distracting. It's essential. It's essential to the character of the current administration. Not only do they not have the ability to distract from the thing itself just to get by it, move on, hide it, put it in the past, but Trump is still neck deep in this. He's still surrounded by fellow travelers of Epstein. Epstein may be dead, but the old gang's still together. And he knows all of them.
All the victories they're having.
Oh, motherfucker. Just, by the way, hit the like, share the show, etc., etc. Super chat, Venmo, patreon.com/HouseSparks. Okay.
Personnel decisions of the president. He's gotten them right. For us, if transparent.
Oh, sorry. Who?
They're having.
I'll leave personnel decisions to the president.
I'll leave personnel decisions to the president. He's gotten that right.
He's gotten them right.
Has he? Because you're talking about his AG choice right now. His deputy director of the FBI quit to go back to fucking podcasting. His director of the FBI was just like drunk and swearing in Milan on a taxpayer trip to the fucking Olympics, and was making just basically sexist jokes about the female hockey team. And he hired fucking Lutnik. What are you talking about? Like, maggots should be freaking out about Besant. Gay, has kids, used to work for George Soros. Holy shit. If Obama had hired that dude, they would never stop screaming.
For us, if transparency was right on day one, it's right on this day. And I think that's the way out of this.
So apparently it's not right because he's not doing it. He wasn't doing it then with the fake binders and all that shit, and he's certainly not doing it now, dummy.
Got it. When we...
Got it. Get the fuck out of here. What?
Set out to create...
Sorry, is there a PDB dildo? What the fuck is that? It's a shoe. I bet it's a shoe.
A shoe that blends comfort.
Oh my God. Shut the fuck up. This dude just sells apparel at the end of it. It's fucking embarrassing. And Manect. I'm on Manect. Manect. For people that are too uninteresting to start a cameo. All right. Apparently, one other little PDB moment. Apparently, Elon Musk is basically Jesus now. I agree with Jesus' teaching. Elon Musk accepts Jesus Christ as his Lord and personal Savior. I believe it.
Elon Musk was asked about Jesus.
Elon Musk was asked about Jesus, and he was...
Tariffs!
He was asked about...
Potatoes and chicken.
All right. Sorry. I love those.
And he said he agrees with Jesus' teaching. Christians urge him to embrace the full gospel. Rob, is this in an interview? Go ahead, Rob.
Go ahead, Rob.
The principles that Jesus advocated.
The principles. Which ones?
And there's great wisdom in the teachings of Jesus.
Wow, way to go out on a limb.
And I agree.
When does the choir start?
With those teachings. And things like turn the other cheek are very important, because as opposed to an eye for an eye leaves everyone blind. So forgiveness.
Are we listening to refrigerator poetry from the Heritage Foundation's Christmas box set?
This, is important. And
why is there a piano player? Well, we're praying with Lord Jesus that X will not be and Grok will not be the Antichrist. Oh, Jesus. Yes.
Treating people as you would
Oh, treat the people as you wish
to be treated.
As you wish to be treated, which is sort of weirdly selfish.
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Love your neighbor as yourself, but not through their windows if the curtains are pulled. And if you do, clean the glass after you sneak away.
Very important.
Very important.
Vinny.
I mean, that's as close as you get to actually becoming Christian and distinctively not that I've ever seen. Boy, is that a fucking let me I'm gonna act out what that was. Bloop. That's what that was. That's the religious content.
Listen, when it's somebody like Elon that's worth hundreds of millions, he's like you said last year, he's going to be one of the first guys here to hit $1 trillion. He controls rockets,
first guy ever.
satellite. Well, I mean, the Middle East, I'm pretty sure your boy Putin, he's definitely a trillionaire. He owns Russia.
Putin in the Middle East.
The guy that owns satellites, AI, and all this, having that guy leaning towards, he talked about
leaning towards. That's adorable.
The creator last week, he's talking about Jesus because, undoubtedly, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever, Jesus Christ was here. That's full stop. Whatever people want to believe who he was, I have a different belief. But having somebody like this, that's a step in the right direction. By the way, this guy owns the rockets. He owns freaking AI. He's going to have an army of robots.
And then he won't have to give a shit. He won't have to pretend to be Christian adjacent, so people will buy his fucking Cybertrucks because they think it's a religious endeavor, which is what that was the point. If you toy around with being Christian, fucking Bob Dylan put out a gospel album. Like, sometimes when your career takes a dip, one of the best things you can do is swoop in and find the religiously faithful of any sort. And in the United States, it's going to be the evangelicals. And since they're in the business of selling Jesus instead of obeying Jesus, they're going to like it when anybody joins the sales force.
Him be on the Christian side and saying turn the other cheek and stuff like that, Pat, I think it's such a positive thing. I'm just curious if he takes the next step.
Yeah. You mean like Russell Brand?
Because acknowledging the teachings, but then becoming a Christian is a whole different
Rob, this
thing.
is good.
Yeah, it's very distinctly a whole different thing.
If you want to...
And by the way, one of the things it requires is that you don't do the same shit you did before you accepted Christ as your savior, right? One would think this is a form of, I guess, Christian-centric behavioral modification, right? If you're in the orbit, it's going to change the trajectory of your capsule. I'm trying to use space terms so that this helps with the Muscovites.
Play this as well. Go for it. This is, you know who he is. Tim
doesn't have piano in it behind him.
Allen, right? The actor.
That's
Go ahead,
Tim
Rob.
Allen?
This is Tim Allen.
Wow.
Watch your language.
I thought it was. It's very little preachy stuff. The Aramaic, French, Latin, and Greek versions of the Old Testament, page by page. I put it down if I drift. And I got all the way through the Old Testament. I'm 4 pages into the New Testament as of this morning. Reading it as a scientist is what 2 guys told me, a priest and a rabbi. EXE, let the words come to you. Do not look for meaning. It will come to you. And all of that it's been life-changing. It's stories you'll derive, it's mostly the Torah is about law. you know, law and consequence and all this. And the book of Job is the one that affected me most. And even in this version,
yeah, it's designed for that. It's written as a tribal document to lead people to that conclusion. And it's been reshaped multiple times, including in the Aramaic. They were not above crafting a document that would lead you in the direction of it. You could say it's because it's spiritually effective or because it's written to be spiritually effective. That's immaterial. That's what it's supposed to do. That's how it worked. Like, if the first person that picked up the Bible went, whatever, we wouldn't even have heard about it. Like, yes, it's convincing in its narrative if you're committed to the narrative. And especially if you have a priest and a rabbi telling you how to interpret it to start with. That's how it works. That's the nature of it. And this is not even me casting aspersions or, like one way or the other. The reality is that's what it's designed for. It's built to talk you into the belief system. All religious texts are. It just matters on the space you're in, whether it lands or not.
They're not sure where that was even written. It might have been written way before the Old Testament. This whole story about a guy who asked the emanation, "Why are you so mean to me?" The emanation very rarely talks to humans because it's like speaking to an ant. You can't understand anything it said.
It's AI. The God of the Old Testament is AI. We're in a cycle.
And it said, listen, do you understand why the waves stop at the shore? Probably not. Do you understand why birds fly at a certain time of day, but not others?
Isn't it great that when you're going through this...
Don't stop, pause it there. He hasn't gotten to the root of his point. You don't interrupt midpoint just because you don't understand it, peanut butter dickhead.
Journey independently yourself. Isn't it kind of cool when you're going through this yourself? But to happen with Elon, do you think we will have a time where Elon's wearing a big cross and doing podcasts and interviews? That would be a weird day. Can you imagine when that takes place?
Hey, asshole, have you seen some of the shit that Caroline Levitt has said while wearing a cross? Have you seen some of the shit that Mike Pillow has done while wearing a cross? It doesn't matter. The symbol can mean the thing itself or the opposite of the thing itself. You don't have to hang it upside down to be sacrilegious. As a matter of fact, you're more apt to be sacrilegious wearing a cross right side up and acting poorly than wearing it upside down and just being a pain in the ass.
Man. And then in his profile, he's got like a cross, Team Jesus. Anything is possible. But if he does that, and then, going to the moon and all this, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
You can't go to the moon and be a Christian. Do you not believe in the firmament? Read the Old Testament. We live under a fucking cake cloche. All the rockets just bounce off. NASA's a fraud. We're surrounded by an ice wall. Have you not seen Snowpiercer?
One thing about Vinny that I love, he's becoming a great example to everybody around here. And that includes myself. I'm so proud of Vinny. Yes.
Because he's selling your book bag or whatever.
We're having dinner with two of our friends, Brian and Tom, who were there with us, and we had dinner. You saw them earlier. You were speaking to them. And he says, how'd you guys meet Vinny? And I started telling the story about Vinny, where he went to, where he's at right now.
Dr. Vinny Boombat.
Life-changing what this man has turned into. Vinny, share with us what you got going on.
Pat, I love you, and thank you. God literally saved me, and I'm here now because God, the story was, saw Pat on Instagram, clicked on it, saw that he was a Syrian. I just lost 2 friends to fentanyl poisoning, not overdose because they didn't. And God got me to where I am right now. And for
I thought you got you where you were because you saw that and you reached out, and he said yes. So God is the Lord of networking, I guess.
For you guys that know, my biggest thing is faith over fear and having faith in Jesus Christ. Last week, James Vanderbeek had that message where he said, I was facing death nose to nose, and he looked so comfortable and so happy. We forgot that, I don't know if you guys remember, on February 15th was the anniversary of 2015 when the ISIS soldiers, whatever, terrorists, whatever you want to call them, were in Libya, and they captured 20 Christian construction workers, put them down. Rob has a photo in orange jumpsuits, put knives to their heads, and they said, if you guys right now convert to Islam, we won't behead you. And these 20, I knew this was going to happen, 20 construction workers said, this is what they said. They said, no, I love you, Jesus Christ. And they cut all their heads off. I know I talk about faith over fear. That right there is, these are construction workers, Pat. They're not priests. They're not the Pope. They're not. These are just regular guys that all sat their hands.
Okay, this is why Vinny is a problem for the rest of the guys on PDB. I don't know where along his psychological or spiritual awakening is, and I will not judge somebody who has an emotional connection to a spiritual idea. If they, it is not for me to question somebody in that situation. But I will tell you this: to the extent that Vinny thinks Vinny means this, Vinny is going to have an increasingly difficult time on this show defending Donald Trump and the Epstein co-conspirators. This is why. He'll become a pariah eventually. Because again, you don't have to believe what he's saying he believes to believe that he believes it. And the standard in believing is pretty self-explanatory. And if he's announcing his own fucking church, then forget it. Forget everything I said and we'll start from scratch. But as an individual, on this particular show, and it's why he has a problem with a couple of the other guys that is increasing. If you notice the little shit back and forth between him and one of the other regular hosts, the reason that exists and is not going to get better is because Vinny's one of the hardliners about the Epstein files. He's bullshit about a bunch of other things, but that one is where it sticks. And it might be in line with this either new or expanding belief system on his own, and he's emotionally connected to it.
Hands tied behind their back, and they said, nope, we believe in Jesus Christ. That is the epitome of faith over fear. God bless them, God rest their souls, and that is it. Because Jesus said, by the way, John chapter 14:6 said what, Tom? I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. Nobody gets to me except through the Father, except through me, through Jesus.
No, get to the Father except through me. Yeah, he's the singular path. So he's selling T-shirts. So that's what PDB's having him do. He's got his own line of fucking faith over fear T-shirts. Okay. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to reserve a moment of judgment. Maybe a portion of it goes to the families of those Egyptian Coptic Christians who were beheaded. Maybe it's, that it goes to some organization that does something. A little more room.
Christ. Period.
Absolutely. They were in fear at that time. There was early persecution going on. If you were a Jewish person at that time and you were now listening to Jesus, the Jewish leaders of the time were like, this rabbi here is a heretic. He's saying things that are way out of bounds and persecuted.
Yeah, but by and large, the Romans wanted to put down every emerging religion, in that you can argue that, as is argued in Caesar's Messiah, that the mythology around Christ beyond the actual guy who existed and the teachings that he actually did while he was alive was largely exaggerated to cause a rift amongst Christians and Jews a century later. That it was they backdrafted the story to make it more contentious so that they would undermine their ability to hold on to the Holy Land when the Romans wanted it. So
started, and they were scared. They were scared. And that same passage where he says, I am the way, right before that, he says to Thomas, he said, do not let your hearts be troubled. I am with you. And it takes strength.
Unless, of course, men and women's sports or immigrants or something like that. Then definitely be troubled.
It takes strength in knowing where eternity is, to sit there and to as Christ did on the cross, just to give it up and saying, look, I am not going to betray my Savior. I am not going to be the heretic on this side. And it says, I'm
going to wear the T-shirt that PDB is selling.
Life.
Yeah, what would Jesus sell? And if hey, there is a coupon code though.
God allows you to
enter the code WWJD.
Take it. Because if you do it, God is only permitting it, not causing it.
I love it, Tom.
Yeah.
I love it, Vinny.
So yeah, and that was it. And I just want to make sure I'm the way and the truth, the life. No one gets to the Father through me, and it's just that right there.
No one gets to the Father through you. Wait a minute. So Jesus said the exact opposite. Nobody gets to the Father through me. Any other way is better. No, butt through me. Oh, Jesus Christ. No pun intended. Vinny, slow down, man. You're not great at blitzing Bible verses. It's okay. You can take your time. I would recommend that you should, since you are literally inverting the meaning.
Is the epitome of faith over fear, and I just can't. It's almost as if every week something else is happening that's proving it and showing it, and I pray that I have that much faith if it ever comes down to it, and I pray that I get it.
Got it. Awesome. And by the way, I love seeing the faith over fear hats, shirts, everything that you got.
Just if there was a way to undermine any of the emotional content of what Vinny just said, we're literally going to burst into tears thinking about the Christians that were beheaded. If there is a way to just cheapen and just dookie in the punch bowl of that entire emotional moment, leave it up to PDB, man.
If you feel the same way, go to vtmerch.com, place an order for yourself.
Go to vtmerch.com. There it is. Here am I, send me, says the shirt with a cross on the front of it. And you know, obviously, when I say here I am, send me, I obviously don't mean to like a homeless shelter to help clean or serve food or anything like that. I mean, that's fucking crazy. You know, I mean, in colloquial terms, send me. I obviously don't want to go to Syria anytime soon also. And don't ask me to do any fucking physical charity work. Lord, please do not send me.
Your family and your friends. If you enjoy this video, you want.
I did not enjoy the video. I was quite frankly disgusted by it. I gotta say, and I felt, and part of the reason is I felt bad for Vinny as you shit on his perhaps rare, who knows, moment of faith. Again, I make a point, for those of you that don't know, of not judging people's prayers, their religious or spiritual beliefs. I only judge their behavior and what they attribute that behavior to. That makes sense? And I don't assume the worst in people. I let them prove it to me. Yeah, anyways. But I can tell you that what PBD did in that moment was fucking aggravating as shit and ugly. Meanwhile, speaking of aggravating as shit and ugly, Jesse Waters, everybody. Trump is pretty mad is the name of this video. Hit the like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwiide.
This is why we hate lawyers.
You mean like Pam Bondi, or?
You put 9 of them in a room. They can't.
They're judges. They're not lawyers. They're not lawyers. They're judges. Also, you put 9 in a room because the complexity of the issue is such that it requires dissent. That's why it's baked into the argument. Our system is based on this. You caterpillar four-headed son of a.
Agree on anything.
They did. 6 of them agreed and 3 didn't. Yeah. And are you new?
There are 5 laws that say the president can use tariffs.
Right, and IEPA is not one of them.
So the president picks one, uses tariffs.
Nope, that wasn't one of them.
Tariffs.
Nope. So tell me you didn't read it without telling me you didn't read it.
Get sued, and the Supreme Court can't agree if you pick the right law.
No, 6 of them agreed that he doesn't have the right to establish tariffs except for a short period of time, and that he has to establish a standard of emergency, which he did not do in this particular case. And he can do the other things. It just takes work. He just didn't want to do the work because he's the administrator. He's not Congress.
3 said he did. 6 said he didn't.
Right. That's not a jump ball.
They all agree the president has the power to use a tariff, but 6 of them.
Wait, is his right eye swollen too? Were they all on the same busted roller coaster, him and Laura Trump?
Say he's got to pick a different law.
Well, no, they don't say he has to pick a different law. Murder isn't illegal because you have to pick another crime. It's just, he tried to use this as reasoning, and legally there was no reasoning in that law. You can't back yourself up and say, I have the right to do this because of this law, if that law says distinctly you don't.
So the president's just going to pick a different law.
Yeah, and it'll take months for him to make the argument on unfair trade practices because every other president has had to do that on multiple situations. And they can do temporary ones on specific items for a period of time, which again, the blanket one will get thrown out as well if there's an attack on it. But the period it would take to get back to the Supreme Court or even the stay on it, which will probably be another month, that will hold it for a period of time and make it jockey back and forth for the 150 days, will stop the clock on the 150 days and make it like even a more irrational trade policy.
And put the tariffs back on. That's what happened today.
No, it isn't, because he set a 15% blanket one, and it eliminated the carve-outs and a lot of the deals that he had allegedly made with other countries. So he had to go back on all of his trade negotiations with everybody else. All those deals got scuttled.
The three justices who backed Trump were Kavanaugh, Alito, and Thomas.
Shocker.
Amy Coney Barrett, Gorsuch Roberts, all sided with the Democrats.
I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country.
Well, they did, because the Constitution, protecting the Constitution is essential to the existence of the country, even if around the edges you don't like how it's interpreted, how the ball goes your way sometime or doesn't.
In fact, they're just being fools and lapdogs.
Thank you, Nina.
For the rhinos and the radical left Democrats.
Rhinos.
The court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think.
I guess Trump.
Sorry. What the fuck does that mean? What foreign interests? What that the three members of the court, including one of his nominees, two of them, sorry, are getting money from foreign interests, or they're more loyal to foreign countries' trade imbalance than they are to the United States, which is, again, holy shit. What does that even, you can't cut it at that point. All right, maybe he will. Maybe I'm going to give Caterpillar the benefit of the doubt here. Explain to me how this last part, that they are beholden to foreign interests and are not loyal to the United States, how that actually is a thing.
Political movement that is far smaller than...
Also, the size of a political movement. I don't know what that fuck that means. People who are anti-tariff, period, or something. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
People would ever think.
I guess Trump's not a dictator anymore because the court ruled against him, and he's going to do what they say. Carney in Canada, he doesn't have this issue. Ursula at the EU can hit us with tariffs and nothing stops her.
Yeah, she has to do it within the legal framework of their parliament and of the EU constitution. She's not breaking a law when she does it because they run it through, their negotiating body has the right to negotiate things, and then it has to be ratified by either an oversight group or by an actual vote by member nations. The same thing is true in Canada.
Mexico can hit back fast. China can. They dump and tariff all day long.
Right. They don't have a constitution at all. They don't have a rule of law at all. They're effectively a modern dictatorship. I'm sorry. Jesse Waters' solution is turn us into China.
But the United States has to just sit there and take it?
No, we just do our homework. We're the ones who actually have to prove that they're unfair trade practices before we lie about it. We don't devaluate our currency just to manipulate other markets. We don't use the same shitty tricks that have collapsed the economies of other countries throughout history and is turning China's economy into a cesspool because that's the same thing that would happen here, dipshit.
The president can't hit back fast?
Yeah, he can, but he's got a temporary limit of 150 days before he has to go to Congress and prove it, or he has to do a national security or an unfair trade practices investigation and prove it before he does it, which apparently he doesn't want to be bothered to do because he thinks it's self-evident, or he knows, just like the Epstein discovery, that it will not work in his favor.
He has to guess which law to use, and if...
Only if his legal advisors are stupid, so maybe he does.
He retaliates too hard against Vietnam or Switzerland, these countries can hold firm because the court might strike them down.
Right. Yeah, that's why you take time to negotiate these things. That's why Congress is involved. That's why you want them to be robustly defensible, not just here, but in international trade organizations. Otherwise, nobody trusts you. But then this is the guy who tore up the Iran deal and is now trying to make a deal with Iran as if they could actually trust him to keep it. I mean, from Iran's point of view, and they're assholes, don't get me wrong, not the people, but the leadership. What's in it for them to sign a deal with the guy who broke the last one? Who's to say that they're not gonna? He's not gonna just wait for them to start, like, send in inspectors. We just want to see where the areas are, and you're gonna break it down, and then we go, okay, they're here. Let's just bomb them. I don't trust these assholes, and he just breaks the deal and bombs the country.
Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy.
They're dancing in the streets.
And they're dancing in the streets. But
also, what?
They won't be dancing for long.
Yeah, he does that a lot. He makes up a whole thing that they're doing. They're smiling, but they won't be smiling for long. Because, boy, I'm going to show them.
That I can assure you.
The president enacted big, fast, sweeping tariffs to knock everybody off their chairs and send them scurrying to Washington to negotiate. Other countries were desperate to do a deal because
No, they really weren't, actually. That's the problem. A bunch of them addressed it directly because they thought they could and they could get ahead of anybody else that might lag in it. But a bunch of countries were like, well, fuck you then. They just found other trade partners. Smaller countries with a lower export reach. All they have to do is whatever fucking 20,000 tons of goods are leaving their country, they could just divide that 20,000 that was coming to the United States amongst other countries through just financial incentives or just reaching new markets. They just invest money in doing that and eventually not needing us. It's like the natural gas industry in Europe's getting off of Russian gas, oil and gas, and then getting off of American natural gas and getting theirs from Qatar and Norway. It takes time, but they'll do it.
Tariffs hurt and Trump had a free hand. You think if Trump had waited 2 years and then hit the Japanese with just a tiny 10% little tariff, they would have buckled and sent us six?
They didn't buckle. They got a better deal than American car manufacturers, you dipshit.
$600 billion?
We didn't get $600 billion from Japan. We didn't. That's a fucking fantasy. There is no big, $600 billion investment portfolio where Japanese businesses are just happy to throw money at America with no return. What the fuck are you talking about?
The president controls foreign policy.
Right, but he does not control tariffs. That's Congress's job. It says so in the Constitution.
Foreign trade is foreign policy.
No, it's not. It's business. It's commerce. That's why there's a commerce clause. That's why there's different rules about commerce. Unless, of course, you just want the next president to come in and go, we're communist now as far as our foreign trade goes. Really? You're good with that? Okay.
And Trump used tariffs to get NATO's spending boosted.
No, he didn't. They reacted to him basically pulling out and leaving Ukraine high and dry, and therefore them later on. Their commitment wasn't, they're not paying the United States. They're just increasing their military spending by a fraction of GDP, by 2.5% more, collectively as NATO, to make up for the gap Trump is attempting to institute to benefit Russia.
To kick China out of the Panama Canal.
They were clogging the place up.
And to pull Greenland away from little Denmark.
No, that didn't actually happen, and it's not going to. Little Denmark? Greenland is Denmark's territory. That makes them a pretty large fucking country.
And to make peace deals. Hey, you two stop fighting or I'll slap 50% tariffs on you both.
Yeah, that's a farce. That's just silliness. Didn't happen. Everybody else in Europe was talking to the Indians and the Pakistanis it was never going to go nuclear, and they were getting to the edge of what's the next step in this. We got to start dialing this down. They've done this multiple times. They don't get along. They haven't figured out Kashmir yet. None of the contentious parts of what happened between India and Pakistan have been answered. They just went back to their previous stalemate.
The Supreme Court says you did.
By the way, he's just repeating Trump talking points that have no basis in reality.
That the wrong way? You got to do it this way instead?
No, you got to do it legally, is what they said, because that's their gig. And we have separation of powers for a reason. It's kind of what makes America special, even though you keep shitting on it all the time.
Richard Nixon.
Good comparison. Excellent comparison. You know what? I was going to go there myself, but thanks.
Used the exact same authority to slap a 10% tariff on almost every import. The Supreme Court upheld it. Trump used the same authority, and they...
Hang on. Real quick. One moment, please. Whoops. Yeah. So, Nixon did not use IEEPA to do this. He used the International Trading with Enemy Act, TWEA, TWEA, to implement his tariff. Yeah, here you go. This had to do with getting us off the gold standard and all that shit. Yeah, here you go. So, yeah, here, roll this back down here. Yeah, here you go. August 5th, 1971, Nixon invoked emergency powers to impose a temporary 10% ad valorem surcharge on all dutiable imports. Again, this is not wholesale stuff most of the time, and there are plenty of carve-outs for it, but a move aimed at correcting a U.S. balance of payment crisis, although often linked to the modern International Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. Nixon actually used the 1917 Trading with the Enemy Act to implement his tariff. The context: U.S. was facing a major monetary crisis and needed to end the gold convertibility of the dollar as part of the collapse of the Bretton Woods system. Legal authority. The 10% duty was implemented via Proclamation 400. You can slow down, Hal. You can read it at a normal pace. It's okay. We're not in a hurry. We're all hanging out. We're fine. All right. Proclamation 4074 under the authority of the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, which was the precursor to IEEPA. The tariff was intended to be a temporary negotiating tool and was lifted later that same year after other nations agreed to currency revaluations. Beg your pardon. The goal was to gain negotiating leverage to force foreign nations to revalue their currencies because we were moving off the gold standard. The action served as, at the time, a tolerated measure under the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, for addressing balance of payments issues, because there was a disagreement about, well, we'll give you this much of our currency for your currency, and since we were devaluing we're getting off the gold standard, what would the standard be going forward? And if they were like, well, you're not on the gold standard anymore, so I think your money's worth this much less. So he added a tariff on top of stuff to correct that during the time that they negotiated this, what the standard would be for the currency. So no, Jesse fucking Waters, that is not what happened at all. You're welcome. Just because he declared an economic emergency, and guess what? It was a fucking economic emergency. This isn't.
The Supreme Court upheld it.
Right, because it was under the previous law, and also they tightened and created IEEPA in its wake to limit those powers even further after Nixon did this, because he had the law behind him in TWEA, but they were worried that it was too expansive. So after him, they tightened the law with the IEEPA, and that's why we have that instead. Otherwise, do you think Trump would have just used TWEA? Huh?
Trump used the same authority, and they knocked it down.
No, he didn't. He used a totally different law, and one that was narrowed specifically because Nixon overreached. Dumb.
How mad's the president? He's pretty mad.
Yeah, I've heard. Hold on.
Tariffs!
The Supreme Court justices who ruled against this the policy, striking it down, are they still invited to your State of the Union next week? And will you speak with them?
They are invited, barely. 3 are happily invited. No, they're barely invited.
Kavanaugh cut through.
Yeah, why would you laugh at that? It seems petty and lame. Seriously, this is clearly a sign of weakness. It's pathetic. If after the student loan forgiveness didn't go Biden's way, if Biden said they're not welcome at SOTU, you guys would call that a fucking constitutional crisis. So stop just being a bitch for bitch's sake.
The gobbledygook and said, what's the point of ruling against him if he could just easily do it another way?
Because one way is legal and one way isn't. Mr. I can shoot anybody on Fifth Avenue and not even lose any support. Yeah, you would. You'd go to jail. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Quote, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain. Substantially constrain. But there are areas where it's clearly illegal, and his wording shows that he's aware that there are constraints that should be there. He might think that he could do it. He could definitely fuck up the economy a myriad of ways. Actually constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That is because numerous other federal statutes authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs at issue in this case.
Might. But you need, why might? Because to use the National Security and the Unfair Trade Practices ruling, 232 and 301, you have to prove it. You've got to have an investigation. You have to make the case. Through the Commerce Department has to actually investigate whether or not we are being treated unfairly before they can institute this. Otherwise, anybody who buys goods or any country that sells them can file a lawsuit and get it overturned because it's not legally justified. So Might is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, and he knows it.
Then Kavanaugh made a list of all the other laws the president can use to do the exact same thing.
Well, then why didn't he use them from the fucking start? If he can just use those, and it's just as easy, and all these are available to him, why didn't he had a whole fucking year? If he wanted it to stick and actually work, and he wasn't just surrounded by assholes and fixated on just using the easiest path, even if it would collapse later, why?
It's like having dirty dishes.
It's exactly like that. You're right.
But you have to do it by hand.
Sure. Yeah, it is. As opposed to what? Throwing them out the fucking window onto your neighbor's lawn? You can get rid of the dirty dishes that way.
You're not allowed to use the dishwasher.
Well, the analogy would be is that you still there are steps that you would take when using a dishwasher. You just can't declare a kitchen emergency and force someone else to bring you fresh dishes every time you want to eat.
Why are we making it so difficult?
Because there's a standard of quality that, let's say the dishwasher in this case, it only holds 5 dishes because it's meant to. And because it's the jet stream in it, it's like one of Trump's annoying issues with water in buildings. It doesn't have enough water pressure to actually clean the dish. So if you want them actually clean and you want them to stay that way so that they're safe to eat off of, you got to hand wash them. Dipshit.
Just get the dishes done and go to bed.
At this point, is that how it works in the Waters household?
Trump has a whole toolbox of things he can use.
Well, then why didn't he use any of them? Why didn't he use them as backups? Here's the thing. Why didn't he declare the emergency powers part of it that were questionable, and then during that time, institute the investigations early last year so that if they wanted the reasoning, he could be a good boy and actually do it? I'll tell you why. Because he knows he's lying. He wants this leverage based on power, not on actual policy or law.
He's just going to go down the list, and he's already checking it off. Tariffs are being put back. What a waste of time. And the president campaigned and won on this.
No, he didn't. He said it a bunch, but most people didn't take it seriously. And then once it started to get implementing, especially medium and small businesses that were run by maggots started throwing a hissy fit, which is why he tacoed all fucking year.
Japan spent $60 million to build a factory in Georgia.
No, they didn't. They expanded one that they already had based on funding that came during the Biden administration.
Trump was just there yesterday, and everybody wanted to give him a kiss. And I mean everyone.
I made a speech at a factory. They make steel products. And I said, how are you? Nice to meet you. How's business? President, I'd love to kiss you. This is a very powerful man. I don't want to be kissed by that man, but a very powerful.
Yeah, he likes his men soft.
Strong man. He's been in the steel business for many years. He said, sir, I want to kiss you. I said, why? He said, because we were down to working 1 hour a week, and then you came in and imposed.
All right, what the fuck? They were not down to working 1 hour a week at all, unless they were in the process of shutting a place down. We're like, I only wanted to come in every so often. We just lock a door, go home.
Those tariffs and all of that foreign junk that they were dropping into our country stopped. He said,
Obama had steel tariffs as well. That's not any part of this. Steel tariffs are not part of the questionable tariffs. It's why Waters is bringing this clip up. It's why Trump is using this as a reference. Nobody, like, steel dumping as a reason for tariffs is tried and true. It's the rest of this bullshit back and forth that he's been throwing around. That's what ended up being illegal in the Supreme Court. That's stopping dumping of anything has always been in the quiver of the presidency. But it's temporary unless Congress picks it up.
Sir, I want to kiss you so badly. And I said, no, thank you.
Here's the silver lining.
Well, I'm concerned. What that we got 6 more months of back and forth rando bullshit tariffing based on no legal precedent, and so that he can do a bunch of investigations to find out that he doesn't have a case nationally or internationally for the tariffs he's put in place at all, because indeed the tariff situation between us and other countries is completely fair in a lot of cases.
The president goes back, does it again. This time it's even more targeted and strategic.
It wasn't targeted and strategic at all. It was slapdash bullshit.
He's already locked in the trade deals. Now
No, he hasn't. This scuttles all of them. It resets them at 15%.
Can carve out exemptions for, let's say, coffee importers, for example, because we don't.
Why? How do you have a blanket 15% and have carve-outs at the same time? A blanket one means everybody evenly. That's, by the way, this is kind of close to the TWIA argument you accidentally made earlier. The reason that Nixon stuck was because it was ubiquitous across everything because of a currency devaluation issue in the United States. So no, like if he's using TWIA, the Nixon reasoning, you can't do carve-outs. Everything gets more expensive equally.
Don't grow coffee here in America. In a way, it's a win.
Hold on. Where the fuck do you think there's going to be a carve-out, shithead? If there's an emergency, there's an emergency. There's not an emergency except on coffee. And for coffee-producing countries. How many other things are there that we do not produce in the United States currently, or have no interest in producing, that would be carve-outs as well? Welcome to your next 6 months, dipshit.
Not the deals. The costs have been.
This is so fucking dumb. Like, no wonder maggots don't understand any of this policy shit and think it's just chest thumping and bluster. Jesse Waters is, and it pains me to say this, fucking stupid. And the only reason it pains me to say it is because there's not language that really tells prosaically tells the tale of how fucking stupid he is.
Inflation went down.
Yeah, it's been going down since fucking the COVID spike. It's going to keep going down, just slower than you think.
And now we can go back and redo it, and we can decide.
Redo what? What do you mean redo it?
What each business needs.
Yes, because we didn't do that in the first place. Seeing what businesses need, and maybe tariff based on those things, if indeed their output is equal to the trouble it would cause with the purchase of those things, and if they're worth it. or if indeed that company, I don't know, is in the United States, but owned by a foreign entity that wants us to fight its battles for it. So it houses its facility here so that we fight the unfair trade practices because in their country, they don't bother to do it. So they just piggyback on our court system and hope we go to war for them, which is what Trump is doing for a bunch of his rich overseas friends with this bullshit.
The crazy thing about all this is that the court let our country get invaded. Apparently, it's not illegal to catch and release 20 million foreigners into the country.
Especially when it didn't happen.
Just don't charge the foreigners a fee to come in. That would be illegal.
Sorry, you think we're tariffing immigrants?
I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the...
Yeah, you can declare war on a country, but you can't surreptitiously create trade policy without involving Congress, because one is an act of self-defense and the other one involves complex issues like that have to be durable.
Country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo.
Right. Temporarily. What the fuck does this have to do with ongoing tariff policy? You cannot negotiate on behalf of the Congress and indeed the American people, because that's taxation without representation ultimately when it comes to trade policy. And you may do it just to benefit yourself at regular intervals, which is exactly why you need to slow down trade policy to have Congress involved.
I can do anything I want, but I
No, you can't.
Can't charge $1.
Because it's not your fucking job, dummy.
Because that's not what it says.
It is what it says. It's the wrong law. And the reason you used it is because the other laws require you to prove your point. And you don't want to because you know you don't have one.
And that's not the way it even reads.
It's exactly how it reads. The other 6 justices were right, and 3 of them were just running interference for you because they knew they could get away with it because the other conservative justices knew they had the votes to shut it down, so they can just suck up to you and I don't know, build their right-wing bona fides. It was a completely political dissent.
I can do anything I want to do to them.
No, you can't declare war on them without Congress, and this is similar.
But I can't charge any money.
Right, because that's what the law says, and that's what the Constitution says.
Democrats who actually begged Clinton, Bush, Obama to start a trade war with China now say only dictators start trade wars.
Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called you a wannabe king. Why wouldn't
him a low IQ?
But why wouldn't
he doesn't even know? And I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
Again, yes, he does. Again, if this is your example of a zinger.
So if globalism crushed the working man, if NAFTA crushed him, if cheap Chinese labor destroyed small-town America.
Sorry, he wants to upend USMCA with his trade policy. And he says it was the greatest trade deal ever negotiated. This is not based on anything. This is just because, just so he has power leverage on other countries for other shit that he wants personally. This is to benefit his own family's wealth.
How's Trump supposed to save the working man if...
He's not going to. He's never intended to. The factories that he's reshoring at this point are going to be large vending machines with very few people in them.
He can't renegotiate trade deals.
He can negotiate trade deals. He just can't do them unilaterally without involving Congress.
And use the same tools other countries use, huh?
Because we have a different constitution than they do, especially in the case of China and the Middle East.
Trump's at least trying to get others to pay. Democrats want you to pay. Mayor Mondami said he was going to make New York City.
The commie is raiding your wallets. So is this how Jesse Waters does his segments? He goes, he blathers on about something he's brutally ignorant about, basically regurgitating White House talking points, which, I mean, again, Fox News, as we understand. And then you end with a boogeyman. This is very much how Laura does it as well.
More affordable. So he gets elected. Now he says he's going to raise your taxes and raid the Treasury. How's that for a bait and switch?
I don't think it would be surprising to anybody that he would raise taxes based on his political plans. And also, what does raid the treasury mean? You mean use the money for stuff that you don't like because it benefits people you wouldn't ever be around?
In order to get to this point of closing the gap on both this fiscal year and the next fiscal year, we are forced to raid the rainy day fund, the retiree health benefits trust reserve, and to increase property taxes across these other years.
New Yorkers.
So they're trying to solve the deficit that's in there because emergency funds are for times like this. Again, raid the treasury?
Not happy about it.
Mayors on my down, you are out your goddamn mind.
Let me guess. People who didn't like him to start with.
To the mayor, with the greatest respects, in every campaign speech, in every debate where you engage, we opened our ears to listen. Now today, accept the words echoing from us now. Do your job as mayor and leave our taxes out.
Okay, this is they're going to raise the state taxes as a way of doing this. They're not doing it with a new sales tax, and they're not doing it with income tax, which means that richer property owners will pay more. And I guess what you would need, and again, this is one of the things that I've argued, is that you're going to have rent control in certain places if you're going to raise, property taxes on apartment owners and that kind of stuff, because they will pass it on to the people living there.
Because of the Trump tax cuts, you're getting a big, beautiful tax refund this April.
Maybe, maybe not.
And Democrats don't even know it yet, but they just walked.
Also, that money won't go as far anyways because prices are continuing to rise, period. So again, this seems like a cheap ploy to try to buy people's votes back, especially in a certain class of folks. Which again, if he's going to kick that back, that's one thing. But he was going to pay for that hole. That's just debt. That's accrued debt because his spending has not gone down at all.
Into a pretty big trap. Newsom's saying Americans should get a tariff refund.
Donald Trump should return that money immediately. He has an obligation. $1,751 per family that were taxed by Donald Trump. He took hundreds of billions of dollars from working folks, from the ag community, from small businesses, for this vanity play, this illegal action. And he finally was held to account. The rule of law won out.
Tariff stimmy checks with Trump's name on it right before the midterms. I'm into it.
That'll totally land the way you think it will. There's stimmies because they're refunds because Americans' money was illegally taken by the president to patch a hole in his budget, which again, he has still not brought down. The budget deficit was going down under Biden and went right back up under Trump. As a matter of fact, he's going to increase the military spending by 50% next year to $1.5 trillion. He's got $5 trillion added to the national debt. They raised the debt ceiling, so he's got a slush fund of $5 trillion to play with, and he's basically already burned through it.
Anyway, most of the tariffs were eaten by foreigners.
No, they weren't.
Some price.
Importers? Sorry. Who? What? Sorry.
Went up.
Hold on. Run that by me again. Some foreigners.
Do it. Anyway, most of the tariffs were eaten by foreigners.
Nope.
Importers. Some prices went up, yeah, but inflation's gone down since Liberation Day. But as long as we're playing along, I love the idea of a refund. Are we getting refund checks for the $9 billion the Somalis stole?
I thought it was 18. And secondly, the idea is that if those funds were reclaimed, they would go to other charities or they would be redressed back to the federal government. And again, do you live in Minnesota?
Because when there's fraud on my credit card,
which is invariable,
American
I guess.
Express
Inevitable.
pays me back. Are we getting refund checks for Bidenomics?
You mean the part where we had the lowest unemployment in 60 years and real wage growth was going up and we passed an infrastructure act at the same time and 2 rescue packages and the CHIPS and Science Act?
The average family paid thousands of dollars more a year. Should I check the mailbox?
Well, that would be because we all went through a pandemic together. That was an external shock, not based on any policy by the president. So no, you don't get a refund from fucking Mother Nature.
Spent hundreds of billions on migrants, their hotels, healthcare, phones.
Yes, Christianity's expensive, man.
I want a refund.
No, you can't, because that means you'd have to, I guess, take it out of the bellies of the children it fed. I mean, hey, for all we know, you're in the Epstein files, so we'll find out later, I guess. I'm kidding. Sort of, I guess.
California taxpayers going to get the $24 billion back that Gavin spent on the homeless? Do California taxpayers
No, you're not.
get the $16 billion back from the train to nowhere that Gavin never built?
Well, that would actually be funds that were never actually allocated once it stopped. You didn't spend the money and continue going forward. And also, the federal government scuttled that because it was supposed to be matching funds.
That rail CEO, he just got arrested for battery.
There's investigation pending, and what's not pending is progress. And we continue to make progress laying the rail.
News.
So it's still going down, and who gives a shit about the actual person in charge of it if the project is going forward? Also, by the way, do Nutlik now.
Newsom thinks he's leading the charge on refunds, all right? He's not even leading Mayor Pete. A new poll in New Hampshire has Buttigieg beating AOC, Newsom, and Harris.
Well, he's a charming dude. We like Buttigieg.
Mayor Pete, who Kamala said was too gay to run with, is now running away with it.
I don't think she said that, but okay.
I'm a big believer in going everywhere, both across the media landscape and geographically. There are so many places. Some are well-known places on the political map. Some are a little bit off the beaten path. All of them deserve attention at a moment like this. I'm going to continue to go wherever I think I can be useful.
Newsom's already on his knees, begging the South Carolina kingmaker for favors.
Try to understand. I love the meeting John Lewis, meeting Martin Luther King. You're contemporary of all these folks. Yeah, Jesse Jackson, all these folks. Yeah. I mean, were they? For someone like me sitting back, I mean, we think of these people in obviously and appropriately reverential terms as we do you, but as a living testament to that.
Yeah, Newsom's lost control. Black.
Why? Because he was asking a question that was legit to. All right.
Tatum. So he's kissing Clyburn's ring. And he needs Silicon Valley money to win. So he sided with China in the trade war. Remember he cleaned up San Francisco for Xi? Not for us, for Xi?
No, that was because people just kind of laying around on the street when a foreign leader is coming, especially if he's driving through those streets, is a security issue, no matter what. Everybody does it. It's not different from anything else. That's not siding with them. That's making sure the dude doesn't get snuffed by somebody disguised as a homeless person on the streets of San Francisco. Wouldn't be great internationally, I don't think, especially for Taiwan. So odd. But also, this, if you'll notice, this is like the segment is a lead up on how Trump's just gonna magically fix this. This is really not a loss for him, and he's just gonna do it the same way. He's just gonna have to use the dishwasher instead of washing it by hand, or he's gonna have to wash by hand instead of using the dishwasher. And then follows that up with two people, I guess, that he knows his audience will hate, and then he does like little snippets of them. I guess this is the breakdown of how they do all these segments, so that they'll forget how much like Trump was pwned by the fucking Supreme Court. In all this, they'll feel like winners again because Jesse's dunking on people they don't like. In spite of the fact that the clips he showed of those people was of them being fiscally responsible, articulate, and smart and deferential to people that deserve respect. Dear God, help us all. I went way over, didn't I? Yeah. I mean, there's so much to cover, though. God damn it. This is tariffs. All right. I could cover that, but we'll cover even more stuff. Oh, by the way, like I said, no show tomorrow because I have the Ultimate Jam Night. We're doing New Wave Night. I get to sing, but I won't cry for yesterday. There's an ordinary world somehow I have to find. That one? Yep. I'll do that one tomorrow night. Warmed up and not having talked for hours. But then also on top of that, let's see. This one I got to look at on my way out the door. I know I can't do the entirety of this video anyway, so we'll cut it off because it's one of those situations where Alex Jones tend to loop a video of himself over and over, right? So I don't know what, and this is his AI, I guess, that they used to make. This is, I guess this is Bill Maher as the Phantom of the Opera with his mask taken off. What the fuck is with his face? That's super weird. And then this is supposed to be Megyn Kelly, although it looks like Laura Ingraham, eating a piece of pizza. Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly ignore Pizzagate facts would be the thing in this. Also, she's actually eating a piece of pizza. The idea is that if pizza is an analogy for something other than pizza, then real pizza being present in the argument undermines that. Also, there is almost no situation where you have lots of kids around and people aren't ordering pizza, period. So it's easy to, I guess that's why a pedophile would use that as a cover phrase, because it fits so well with how most normal people talk about gatherings of kids. We'll order some pizzas. They'll be fine. We're going to have pizza and everybody and hot dogs and stuff like that because it's 4th of July and all that. Like all that talk can become an instant conspiracy theory, or it can become perfect cover because of the normalcy of it. And you can't talk about the Pizzagate stuff and the pizza analogies that show up in some of these documents or allegedly show up in these documents if you don't point to the fact that that's because that's how normal people talk about fucking kids being around. If you're throwing a kids party or you've got like a friend, your kid's got friends over, you're going to order a pizza for them. Like it's that kind of normal, which is why it works as a code. Not that everybody who talks about it is part of that. And that's the hang up in this. I have no idea there was going to be an ad.
Listen up, men.
Nope.
If you're having trouble in
I'm
the
not putting
bedroom,
that in the tip
you
of
need
my.
to give
I'm not
this a
going to do
try.
it. It looks like it'll sting.
Stop
Forget
what
it.
you're doing right now.
I'm going to keep doing
sharing
it.
this because nobody
worried.
told me there's up to $40,000 as a burial benefit.
Yeah, but that's only
My
if you're
general
toxic.
feeling is that people who believe in Pizzagate hate that interview, and I'm not one of the people who believes in Pizzagate at all. So I can't defend one particular exchange that I don't remember the whole interview.
That's got to sting.
I just know I interviewed him, and I did not believe and do not believe that Hillary Clinton and John Podesta are running a child sex trafficking ring out of Comet Pizza. No.
It's in the. First of all, it's Comet Ping Pong. The pizza is ancillary. Now, why isn't ping pong part of the code? I don't know. Why isn't it Ping Pong Gate?
WikiLeaks delivering 7, 9, and 11-year-old kids, girls, for John Podesta's pleasure in a hot tub in a secluded facility in northern New York.
So it's a very specific place. And so this could be a pool party at the house where they serve pizza because there's lots of kids over.
Upstate New York. And all the...
Well, okay, thank you for clarifying.
This other garbage. It just goes on hours of it just to read the emails, okay? His brother does full magazine spreads in the Washington Post 2007 about pedophilia and how great it is, okay? With the images of kids being tortured and raped, okay?
Wow, that's a really weird article. Does that exist? Not that I want to look at it, but so who did this? Wait, the Washington Times or the Post?
Okay. His brother does full magazine spreads in the Washington Post 2007.
Sorry, there are full magazine spreads in the Washington Post about how awesome pedophilia is. That would be breaking news. I would hold on. Chat room, if I may. Let's see. Washington Post, Podesta. I don't even know how to fucking look this article. Pedophilia. Convinced involving people at the highest level during advisors operating out of Washington Pizza. Okay, this is New York Times, Washington Post. Chrissy Teigen fights back after Twitter used to drag her name. Mother, why are right-wing conspiracy so obsessed with it? Podesta calls pizza cake. Okay, painful and crazy. Trump has made a safe zone for fact-free discourse. Clinton, okay. Maybe this is it. Editorial board. No, Trump has made a safe zone for fact-free discourse, and Pizzagate proves it. Shot of Comet Ping Pong as tempest fake news. Crackpots who peddle this stuff include Michael Flynn. And you're right. Infection spread down the block, literally to neighboring shops and businesses that have also received threats for their supposed involvement in child sexual abuse. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with no. There aren't giant magazine spreads in the fucking Washington Post about how awesome pedophilia is. That whole thing about extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Go for it. What the fuck? Hold on. Play. Stupid. It doesn't want to. That's weird. Is it stuck? All right, now I got to reload the fucking thing. It's the deep state. Deep state's attacking me. They don't want me to play the video. They want it to. They're trying to hide everything. They're trying to.
But about pedophilia and how great it is. Okay, with the images of kids being tortured and raped. Okay.
Okay.
Cartoon images of it, paintings of it. You've seen it a million times.
No, I have not.
The New York Times and CNN, they focus, again, I know most of you know this, but for those who don't,
by the way,
on Comet Ping Pong, they had a bunch of events and a bunch of weird art and weird stuff, but where we can't prove what's going on, then say, oh, none of it's real because of that place. Weird. Oh, none of it's real in the whole world, all because the story they planted on 4chan and 8chan was a distraction.
How is, okay, there you go. I'm going to reload the page from the original link. Sorry about that, guys. Because what the shit? Scroll back. Yeah, here it is. This business. Quit it. Link. There you go. Now I gotta watch this stupid ad again. God damn it. I gotta. Yay! Guys, put this thing in your end of your pee-pee.
By
and it won't.
2026. Chuck Norris, the best commercial of the year.
This is Kathy. Kathy is 62 years old and used to have some.
The Washington Post 2007 about pedophilia and how great it is, okay?
No, not okay. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and it is just silly.
With the images of kids being tortured and raped, okay?
Okay, yeah. Regular, yeah, some people call that an expose of horrific child sexual abuse. We call it the Sunday funnies.
Cartoon images of it.
Yeah, these kids being tortured in this little family that lives in a circle, and the parents are sometimes mean to the kids and make them do chores. Clearly a sign of...
things of it. You've seen it a million times.
Oh, God.
The New York Times and CNN, they focus, again, I know most of you know this, but for those who don't, on Comet Ping Pong, where they had a bunch of events and a bunch of weird art and weird stuff, but where we can't prove what's going on, to then say, oh, none of it's real because of that place. Oh, none of it's real in the whole world, all because
the central focal point that where it was taking place in the basement was in a place that doesn't have a fucking basement.
Story they planted on 4chan and 8chan was a distraction.
Also, by the way, you do realize this fucking code was not in the emails. This is even a list of people searching for this list that somebody made up and said this is what it stands for.
From all the real stuff.
Hold on.
And the FBI files and all of it. So that's the game they play. She's a lawyer. She knows what she's doing.
I apologized to QAnon a couple of weeks ago. I said, when it comes to this Epstein stuff, you had it righter than me. Now, they also believe a lot of real batshit nonsense. But when it comes...
you think it's batshit,
They don't eat babies. Democrats don't eat babies. You think they eat babies?
They just abort them in mass and sexual...
Sorry. Wow, Lauren Boebert's voice is really wrecked. Maybe she needs to find something that could sort of moisturize the inside of her throat. I'm sorry.
And
euthanize them.
I don't know. No, you can laugh all
Yes,
you want. But, there is some sick stuff in here that is implying...
But that's not eating babies.
Maybe,
come on.
I'm not saying they're eating babies. I'm saying there is talk
They
of
just say they are.
consumption, and it ain't pizza. And I'm not saying that I am QAnon by any means, but this is deep, dark, satanic, awful, sacrificial, and this stuff is gross.
See, this is what I'm saying. Here I am, sacrificing myself, saying, you know what, I was wrong, QAnon, and then you don't meet me halfway.
All right, this is I don't know why he has kind
Friday night
Euro trash dance music as his break.
I got Megyn Kelly saying there's no way Democrats are eating babies.
This is true. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. She in nowhere, in your defense, she in no way says that Republicans aren't eating babies. So, maybe she's leaving that door open, considering what's left in the Epstein files.
We have all these other people just saying they don't believe it. Oh, but you do believe they're raping kids now, not just 14.
Yeah. Well, the idea is, yes, that pedophilia exists, but this gets into like satanic panic, territory.
Girls, not just underage. Oh, you do believe all this other stuff, but not that.
Yes, because that's an order of magnitude fucking weirder. And it requires a buy-in from the people involved that is beyond the psychopathic. So even if members of that group were involved in that thing, they aren't spreading it to the rest of the group, lest the rest of that group who are engaged in truly awful things think that's a bridge too far.
Before you didn't believe that.
No, we all believed in like Epstein and people like that. I just don't think they control our government the way you say they do. And any more than I believe that, Hillary has fucking Parkinson's that just magically went into fucking remission.
I'm going to explain something. They've dug up archaeological sites
where there's a person and a female, and she's got a whole baby inside her that she clearly ate. Now, some asshole archaeologist will tell you that that's a pregnant woman who drowned or was consumed by lava or died in a snowbank. But we all know well that most women can swallow a baby whole, and they have a special chamber for holding the baby carcass.
In Africa, Europe, the Middle East, Asia.
Parts of Birmingham.
The British Isles, Albion, under its ancient name. And they've dug up pyramid complexes all over the United States with mass human sacrifice remains. There was Aztec-type culture all over the U.S., the East Coast, you name it.
Right, but it kind of died out with the television, I think, at least. You know what I mean? Once people had, once the Nintendo showed up, it really cut into the whole baby eating because you're bored economy, I think.
West Coast.
East Coast, yo.
They've dug it up all over Germany, all over France, the exact same stuff they just dug up in Carthage.
Right, but there's no modern stuff, like a long time. Look, I get archaeologically speaking, people did some wild shit back when people were just banging rocks together. But I'm just saying, did it die out 3,000 years ago and then suddenly make a resurgence somewhere in the mid-60s?
Tens of thousands of children, just what they found, killed while they were alive, because they can tell by the archaeology. Burned alive to Moloch. So, and that's what the Romans wrote in their history. That was one of the reasons they went in and took them over. And people said, oh, that was an exaggeration of the Romans. Now they know it was not an exaggeration. And it wasn't.
So the Romans picked it up and the Catholic Church carried it forward, and then they taught it to everybody else, and the Bohemian Grove happened. So they were basically just helping carry child eating. Also, did they burn the baby at sacrifice, or did they eat the good parts and then burn what was left? Was it really just getting rid of evidence, or was it... I'm, of course, being ridiculous because this guy's such an asshole.
The Carthaginians that were doing it.
Which you'll give you, I think smoking is Carthaginian.
And that's in North Africa, but Carthaginians were mainly Greek and Sicilian.
So this is an anti-Italian thing. So deep dish pizza, do you really know what's in there?
In their original bloodline. They've genetically tested the skeletons. So this goes on all over the place.
Yeah, but it stopped for thousands of years and then started up again. Again, why? Because they're like, hey, shit, that baby eating thing, that used to make people really rich.
It's the norm in the Bible.
Okay. Oh my God.
Abraham is told, stop human sacrifice.
And then Jesus came along and went, hold my splinter, because he was effectively the last human sacrifice. That's effectively, yeah, it's literally an act of human sacrifice and cannibalism. Eat of my blood and my body. Figuratively speaking.
Don't do it anymore. There's hundreds of verses. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Moloch, for you must not profane the name of your God. I am the Lord.
He's just looking up multiple translations of it in case it can be read several different ways.
Do not permit any of your children to be offered.
Yeah, Leviticus is kind of fucked up. It also says you'll go to hell if you eat shrimp. So I don't know what to believe.
Sacrifice to Moloch.
Believe me, Alex Jones is eating some shrimp. If you're ever at dinner with him, I'm sure he'll eat all of it. You bring a plate to the table, it's gone.
For you must not bring shame on the name of your God. And that's
so burning a kid alive is the equivalent of taking the Lord's name in vain.
All over the Old Testament, okay?
Okay. Does it show up in the New Testament? How about I don't know, history books in the modern era?
And everything where they talk about what's going on, they've dug up all this stuff, okay?
Okay. No, not okay. It's a huge leap from what primitive peoples used to do a long time ago, and the people who tried to stop them from fucking do it even back then, that it somehow made it through and it's still in practice today because it gives people magical riches and powers. Because the argument that Alex Jones is making is that we got to stop the baby eaters because that magic works. Look who the rich and powerful are. You have to eat a baby to be rich and powerful. It sounds like a sales pitch.
That's just one Bible verse. There's a whole bunch of them, okay?
Well, yeah, it's the same verse, a bunch of different ways. It's not all over the Bible. Thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch, and neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. So he separates, the King James Bible separates
People say,
this.
oh, that's crazy.
Hold on, no. The King James Version says this as two separate ideas. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch. Means, I guess, no circle jerks around the bonfire. It's gross. And some of us are trying to get some sleep.
Just always, oh, nobody really kills people. Nobody reaps blood. The entire Satanism, Aleister Crowley thing is about drinking people's bodily fluids, okay?
Well, I would guess you'd want to be a little more specific. Because, I mean, maybe that's what Trump was doing with the golden showers thing in Russia. Maybe that's why he fears the video. Maybe it wasn't that he was doing it for sexual pleasure. Maybe he was drinking the bodily fluids from Moloch.
That's why Christ said, stop doing that. Have this wine as my...
Also, that they said that in Leviticus.
Blood. Have this bread as my body.
Yeah, don't really eat flesh and blood. Just allegorically eat me.
It was his point. I'm the last sacrifice. I give...
Yep, human sacrifice. That's right. We've been doing lamb for a long time. I am the lamb. I've been washed in the blood of the lamb, saith your regular congregation during the singing of the hymnals.
Self-willingly stop.
You ever notice they're hymnals and not hymnals? You ever think about that for a second? Think that's an accident?
That's why he said, I have come to not overturn the Old Testament.
But I did not come through fire, so...
To fulfill it. The two things go together like a horse and carriage. So a person that doesn't understand world history reads the Bible and says, this is gibberish.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works at all. I think if somebody woke up and weren't aware of world history and they read it as a religious text, they might go, oh, this is how it is? Oh, that's interesting. They wouldn't go, I don't know, they misspelled the. They added an extra E. None of these sentences make any sense at all.
But if you know history and then you study all the archaeology they discovered, it's all accurate.
Sure, but this is also Bronze Age tribal horseshit. So what the fuck does that have to do with a pizza place in D.C. where people take their families because they have families?
Extremely accurate. That's why people say, oh, the Bible.
Or it was written 70 to 100 years after Christ was alive, and a lot of it was rewritten over time to incorporate stuff that had happened that they weren't aware of at the time, because it would go, well, how come there's no mention of this in there? You know, dinosaurs, I rest my case. But they had to go back and rewrite sections of it to make up for new bits of information that either wanted to be in there or stuff that fit in with, you know, tales they'd heard elsewhere.
It's literal, but then you'll have these mainline preachers. But the big wheels landing and spaceships flying around and giants and aliens breeding with humans, that's all metaphorical. No, it's not.
And these are the spawn of giants who are eating babies. And that brings me to Hillary Clinton, who is huge.
Noah wasn't perfect in his generation. He was a perfect person. Christ was the only person that was sinless, God in flesh. No, it's very clear the whole chapters before is that the sons of men came down from space, the heavens, and impregnated the daughters of humanity.
And since then, humans have been trying to reach those people again in the same way that, you know, those tribes made fake airplanes because the American flyboys landed there, and they made, you know, like these basically like airplanes out of skins and thatch and bamboo because they wanted them to come back. So we've been recreating this kind of shit to try and talk to the aliens that left a long time ago. Papa, can you hear me?
And made hybrids that were evil. And God saw that almost none of the genetics was good. So he wiped out the earth. And every culture tells the same thing.
It seems like a big reaction. I would think that, you know, there wouldn't be if God could do that, wouldn't he just, I mean, God sounds like a physical being, the way you describe it. Like he'd have to physically create a flood to wipe out their genetics instead of, if he was God, he would just snap his fingers like Thanos and they'd all drop dead. Isn't that sort of part of the whole God thing?
So
you're kind of arguing that God is like an alien, but he's like a middle manager who was put in charge of making sure there wasn't any bad genetic spread from his buddies fucking monkeys on the planet below. See, I'd read that book. That these and thys all in there. Come on.
The whole Bible's about God wiping out devil worshipers.
But never wiping out the devil. That seems rude.
Wiping out human alien hybrids. That's what it is. It's what it says.
Yeah, but then so there aren't any. They're gone. They don't exist. You've been saying they have. So God, what, missed? He drowned most of the humans on the planet at the time, and he fucked up and left. He didn't get them? Like, fuck, some of them had gills. Why didn't I think of that? Shit, I got to do it over again with fire in another 3. What time is it? After lunch. When will that be? About 1 billion years. We live on God time.
And then now they're like, well, we've been given classified briefings on the 5 underwater alien bases. It's all coming out, folks. It's all coming out.
Wait, the hold on. All of it? They're all coming out. So the aliens are gay then. After that, I'm not worried. It seems fine. I mean, yeah.
We live in the age of discovery. We live in the age of revelation. We live in the age of the big reveal.
Which I guess revelation would be what that is. Sure. And when is this big reveal coming? After the Epstein files, or?
And there'll be disinformation and stuff mixed in there, and none of it's.
God can't handle that. He just kind of lets it slip through. We just got to deal with it. We just got to. It's an act of faith. We have to decide which aliens are real and which are just AI.
Going to be perfect, but buckle up, buckaroos, because as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be in the time of the coming of the Antichrist.
Yeah, but also no one shall know the hour nor the day of Christ's return, not even the Son, only the Father. Not even the Son or the angels, only the Father in heaven shall know. So even pretending to know that you're in this time is sacrilegious and almost guarantees that it's not the time. Because if you say you know, then you definitely don't. and it's definitely not now. You can actually stave it off by saying you think. That's interesting. Theologically speaking, you can actually stave off the second coming of Christ by saying it's going to happen now, because it can't. Otherwise, it will be against the scripture. If anybody, no one shall know. So if anybody goes, I know it's going to happen today, and it does, then the rest of it's bullshit. So if anybody goes, I think God's coming back today, like, well, we can't do it today. Maybe we'll try tomorrow.
And I don't know, that's 10 years from now or 100 years from now or next week.
Right, legally.
But the whole world could see the beast as a hologram. The whole world could worship the beast and see the signs and wonders of the beast. And the beast
as a hologram. Like, are we like Princess Leia? I mean, come on. Want to talk about your sexual awakenings?
Could heal the sick. And the beast could manifest.
Oh yeah,
That's matter. And the beast could call down fire from heaven. And
oh, so like Trump, basically. He can just bomb someplace. Is that what you're saying? So Trump is the Antichrist? I know he isn't, as he's not nearly charming and good-looking enough to pull the wool over the entire world's eyes. His poll numbers are too low. The Antichrist would have killer poll numbers.
they had to worship the beast and the beast system and take the mark of the beast in their forehead or hand as signs of fealty to follow the beast system. You don't just take the mark and then everything's fine. You have to serve the global social credit score.
Sorry, I didn't realize there was this much bureaucracy in the mark of the beast.
And all the updates.
Who are the record keepers for the beast? Does he have a team of accountants? Is it a digital database, or is it scrolled on some sort of stone with his fingernail, where he carves it out like it's got laser powers, and it's left there so he can look at it? There he is. There's his name, Greg Frengensen. He took the mark of the beast. I put it on my little stone. It's right there. And his sister, Glenn Frengensen. She's there, right there. Yeah, I put people in alphabetical order. Oh, he added too? Okay, shit. I'm going to have to scratch one of these out and start again. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to make it so the rock moves magically, and then I'm just going to move this down. And you know what? We should probably do this on computer, now that I'm thinking about it. This whole mark of the beast thing is, I'm just thinking we should probably use QR codes, you know? Because, I get an endless scroll made of skin, looks great. Or a burning stone with everyone's name in it. It's great. It gives off a very lava lamp kind of a in hell vibe. But it's just practically, if we have to make adjustments. Because what if somebody doesn't serve? What if they take the mark and then they don't serve? We got to move them off the rock. And then I got to scrub, a whole side of the rock? Or... it's very complicated, this whole thing.
And they talk about the image of the beast being seen in all the capitals of the world.
Yes, apparently the beast is a tit, because all Capitol domes look like a big boobie. And it couldn't be the mama fixation that most guys like you have. You're like, I feel much better when I see a giant boobie. So much so that I put the giant boobies behind me.
And being described as like 50 to 100 feet tall, speaking to everyone. It's the big AI avatar. And it can be a...
Avatar? Is that like the show where ABBA is holograms?
Huge hologram, or it can be a huge robot body.
Or it could really be a beast that's kind of in the sky, kind of magically, and kind of a fantasy-based thing or whatever, instead of it just being an analogy for whatever technology you're wanting to shit on this week. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it when people thought the beast would be the automobile. There were people who thought the invention of the automobile was the Antichrist, because everyone would need a license plate. I'm not kidding.
And there going to be 10 million of them walking around.
So, wait, so there's not one Antichrist, there's like trillions of them? Shit.
Possessed by the spirit of the beast, the AI.
I see. So the beast hallucinates answers to historically obvious questions. And it doesn't have web search capability yet. All right.
The whore of Revelations.
I know I know he's trying to be dramatic, but this is really stupid. The horror, you mean the horror of Babylon that's in Revelations? Or there, I think there are lots of horrors in Revelations. I mean, before the invention of penicillin, believe me, primitive men had a chip on their shoulder about horrors.
Rides in on the dragon, rides in on the beast.
Oh, so like the car Trump has. Huh. You know, you might be making a point there.
The whore of Babylon rides him in.
Well, good for him. At least she knows what she's doing. I mean, you would think that a woman with that much experience. And by the way, that is no way to talk about Melonia.
The beast system. And
the beast system. Yeah, they do have more than one car.
It's a genetic injection you're given that basically takes over your genetics and turns you into a transhumanist creature.
Is that what I am now? Because I got the jab. I'm a transhuman. I remember when I was, look, don't set me up for disappointment. Remember when we were supposed to be zombies? Do you guys remember that? There was a day when we were all going to turn into zombies. And I was really sad when that came and went, you know? And now we've got little hot beast injections.
That is the true final mark of the beast.
Final. It is the true final mark. Do they have? Is that like a fang mark? That's the last fang mark you're gonna get. Shit. I gotta make my pointer larger in this thing. I lose it to. Sorry.
That basically takes over your genetics.
Mm-hmm.
And turns you into a transhumanist creature that is the true final mark of the beast.
The true final mark. Okay. It is. I was right. I thought it was final, but it's not. It's the true final mark of the beast. And you can tell when someone has gotten their final mark, their mark on them, is that they lose the ability to articulate simple words like final. That's how you know. Yeah.
I remember there was this little church, and they would meet at a hotel up in North Austin.
It's not really a church, is it? You mean cult?
What do they call that? Texas Best Seminars. And the guy was a preacher, but he was put on these Patriot seminars. What was his name?
I really don't remember, because I try to avoid Ramada Inns in the northern Austin area for reasons I don't think I have to articulate to you or anyone in my audience.
I remember like 28, 29 years ago. What's that guy's name?
Make one up. Nobody gives a shit.
We're at dinner at some Denny's or something after the church service.
As you do.
Like at 10 at night. And we're all sitting around a big
drunk
booth. And I'm like, well, the mark of the beast is, digital system to buy and sell to control every aspect of your life. We didn't call it social credit card. He goes, no, that's only part of it. He goes, I've been given a vision. You'll be given an injection that takes over your genetics and begins to make you where you can merge the machines and be transhumanist.
Wow. And here, like 28 years later, still wrong. Is it? Sorry, do you think it's going to be that simple? And it's going to happen soon? An injection that just makes... By the way, it's because I got a COVID vaccine that I can now merge with machines. Tell that to the AI I've been using to code some shit for my live stream, which gets a lot of stuff wrong.
He goes, I continue to have this dream, this vision. That's what it's going to be. And I was like, wow.
Because you read like a couple of cyberpunk novels and shit sci-fi in the mid-70s?
This is just an old country boy. What was his name?
You absolutely can reverse a cavity, and I'm going to prove
put a cork
it to
in
you.
it.
Drinking warm water before bed fixes...
Yeah, no. What was that guy's name? Shit. I owe him money, I think. He's still got those Polaroids of me on the trip. He's got Jeffrey Epstein. I can't remember.
Steve Quayle. right around that time was writing books saying the same thing. And he was being given, literally, God was saying, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to look like. This is what's going to
Yeah, and it didn't.
go on.
Yep, and it didn't.
Steve Quayle, you know, is always very reactionary and very, very, right at the moment because he wants to get people awake. But when it comes to being the...
Also, it's a great way to snag an audience of sycophants and idiots who will continue to keep you afloat. It's very Jim Jones. You know, he talked about the end of the world all the time, too, because that's how you lock in your followers, especially when your church is dwindled down to where you're meeting in a hotel room.
Trailblazer. I actually was thinking about Steve yesterday and today because I saw a bunch of my books in my office, his books, and I was cleaning them out in case we shut down next month, which is close.
Excellent.
Anytime the receiver's saying he might shut us down any day, maybe tomorrow. And I was flipping back through them, and I was just like, stuff he wrote like 30 years ago all came true.
No, it didn't.
It's wild. I mean, like,
no, it didn't.
We are all so vindicated, folks. It is absolutely crazy. So look at this. This was a post on X and links through the archaeological files. You can look at mainline archaeology findings just last year.
Oh, there's Steve Quayle, yes. Having on his guest the past 2 decades, and thank you for your friendship before he disappeared.
Overhead shot right here, please.
Yes, I love that comic book. Barfi, the ancient god of indigestion, controls everyone. It was one of the weirder Stargate offshoots.
And this is the Carthaginians, a description from the Roman histories. They've now...
And you can't argue with their design choices.
Dug it all up and are able to read the stone tablets confirming it all. And here...
Yes, I'm sure these guys didn't blow up the shit they built. Didn't find that thing, though? So let me get this straight. They found a bunch of documents where these guys talked about the extraordinary society that they had and all the cool stuff they had and the giant belching behemoth automaton robot baby eater, the baby liquefier machine. But you didn't find that. They talked about the buildings. We had such great buildings. Oh my fucking God, you would not believe the amazing buildings we had. Where are they? Well, those are gone. The writings survived, but the buildings didn't. The writings survived, but the giant brass fucking belch god statue, nobody can find it. I don't know what the fuck happened to it. This is weird. This kind of goes to my point about oral traditions. This is where people learn to have oral traditions because nobody can test it against other things that have survived.
They are sacrificing children to the fires. They just open up like an oven and throw them in.
Yes, it's a great contraption. They're very proud of it. It took them weeks to get it right. The first couple times, they just chucked the babies at them and they would bounce off the tits. And it was a big mess. And then they would try to do it again. And then there was sand and crying. It was so painful. And then finally, they really worked it out. Gary worked this out. He was one of the guys that did the initial prototype. And he built a smaller one to kind of show to everybody his plan. Nobody wanted to listen to him. And he would put little those little roly-poly bugs in it, and it would chuck them into the belly thing, and they're like, this one works. This is awesome. And so then they recreated the whole thing or whatever. At least that's what it says in the books. Nobody can find any version of this anywhere.
And it says, archaeological evidence reveals that ancient Carthaginian practiced child sacrifice on a scale previously dismissed as Roman propaganda. The Topet of Carthage, a sacred burial ground dating to 800 to 146 BC, contains thousands of urns filled with charred infants and child remains.
You mean they cremated their dead kids? Because they didn't want animals digging them up when they buried them? Because they hadn't quite figured out the whole casket and 6 feet underground thing, and the ground was too soft. And if you tried to dig a burial mound without building a building around it, you'd die in the process yourself. So they cremated people and put the ashes in an urn.
Excavations and bone analysis confirmed these weren't stillbirths or natural deaths. They weren't cremated while they were dead, but deliberate ritual killings performed during crisis periods and as offerings to the god Baal, you can also call him Moloch, Hammon, and Tanit.
Yeah, they were assholes. Also, what'd you do? Check their fucking lungs for soot? How the fuck do you know that they weren't natural deaths before they were burned? You're fucking out of your mind?
And then it goes on. Well, that's weird. Haman. It's different in German. I forget what Haman means. The practice called Moloch in Punic inscriptions, see, same name, targeted children from elite Carthaginian families. Parents offered their firstborn sons during military defeats, famines, or plagues, believing the sacrifice would restore divine favor. Inscriptions on...
Yeah, they were idiots.
Should have...
Did it? Wait. That's not the point. Whether these assholes did this or not is not the point. Did it work? Why would anybody recreate this bullshit in the modern era unless they believe the magic behind it? And if there's evidence that it worked, then maybe you might argue that people today are equally as stupid and would try it because basically human beings are new when they're born and need to be civilized. But it didn't work. They're gone. They got wiped out. So why would you recreate the magic or the sacrifices of a group of people whose tribe didn't survive? It's like using a Mayan wake-up clock, like an alarm based on the Mayan clock, because their timescape ended. They weren't great, or they thought they'd be around to do an update, like a hardware update to their clock.
Stones describe these offerings explicitly. Roman and Greek historians, including, it goes through them, documented the practice in horrifying detail, describing bronze statues with outstretched arms beneath which fires consumed living children, while drums drowned their screams. It goes on and on. It gets into all the DNA and who they were and what they were doing. So...
Oh, they have video of it.
That's the reality of this. And we got all these emails, Jeffrey Epstein and the Rothschilds and people, most of it, a lot of it blacked out.
I say what you will about the Carthaginians, but they beat everybody else to the moving picture.
Sam, it was really great hunting those people to death last night. Yeah, we killed a bunch of blacks. Call them N-words. And then in the 20s, in Europe, they had huge conferences in giant sports stadiums.
So basically, this bullshit story has been around for a long time. Like this wasn't recently uncovered. They made a movie in the 1930s about this shit.
Huge cost reenacting.
By the way, that those people are bad.
That's one right there. Human sacrifice of children. Sorry,
reenacting it. What movie is that from? That's actually from a movie, like a silent film.
So here's Megyn Kelly, and I've also got from yesterday.
All right, this is going to annoy me. I'm sorry. I've got to go aside on this. This is aggravating. Hold on. Silent film, child sacrifice, something like that. Yeah, Tamolok and Capria, a 1914 silent film. Capria is a 1914 Italian silent film, and it depicts Moloch worship. Silent film, electronic music score, Capria and the legacy of the human sacrifice scene. And then here it is. And then another one called The Temple of Moloch. This is 1914. This will be... Yeah, this was another, like an ancient film. A Red Cross SEAL story. Dun, 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 dun. The Edison Company appears to have been one of the few early film companies displaying an anti-social conscience. In 1912, it released the anti-child labor Children Who Labor in 1913 and 14, respectively, The Price of Human Lives and The Temple of Moloch. These last two productions were endorsed by the National Association for the Prevention of Tuberculosis, and are a reminder that during the early years of this century, tuberculosis was a major cause of death in the United States, even as late as 1960. The Temple of Moloch, released in November 25th, 1914, demonstrated vividly to the audience of the day why the death rate among the unskilled laborers was 7 times as high as that among professional class. The taboos of the period did not permit any mention of the further high mortality rate among non-whites. For a film so determinedly propagandist, The Temple of Moloch was enthusiastically received. Louis Reeves Harrison of the moving picture world described it as a cheering flash of what stirs the mind and heart and shows that moving pictures could be if they were treated as the expression of something worth expressing. We need effects. It's exciting. The Temple of Moloch, a Red Cross SEAL story by Mary Ryder Mechtold. Produced in cooperation with the National Association for the Study of Tuberculosis. Prevention for tuberculosis. Harrison Pratt. Chris Pratt's great-grand something other. No. Played by Warren Cook. Oh, here's the Pratts sitting at home. Oh my gosh, I'm so privileged and bored. I'm so rich and I have working people who are working for me. I'll kiss you later, dear. Thank you. Are you my daughter or my wife in this? I think, oh, yeah, okay, that's the wife. I'm not kissing the boy. All right. Going off with the maid. All right, maid. In Harrison Pratt's badly ventilated and dusty pottery, the doctor finds the workers easy prey for tuberculosis. This is an anti-fucking tuberculosis movie. The Temple of Moloch is basically an allegory for how workers were served up to the horrors of tuberculosis by unventilated workplaces. Stop coughing there. You, why are you coughing there? I've got a thing in my chest. I don't know. Stop, cough over there. Cough on him. Get out of here. Why are you bothering him? He should go back in there and work. He shouldn't be out here. Look, he's going to cough all over me. He's going to cough all over you. Get him the fuck out of here. I don't care about this. This is ridiculous. The Swanson home. Eric Swanson, a former employee of Harrison Pratt. Carlton King. Miss Swanson. Matilda Barry. Now, I'm making tea. Now, you sit down. We're about to sell you to Moloch. Hold on. Hello, darling. Welcome back in. Have a seat there, Charlie. Oh, hey there. Stop spitting your gunk all over me. Cover your mouth, you fucking asshole. What's wrong with you? Look at that glob of goo on this. You gobbed on the carpet. You gobbed on the table. You could have gobbed on me, you fuckhead. Never mind that I'm about to sit on a baby. Hey, don't drink from the same cup as him. He's full of sputum. Ew, sputum? What are you talking about? I had no idea. The kid's already crippled. Who gives a fuck? What are we trying to save him from? Look, Tidy Tim, try not to kick the baby when you're leaving, will ya? Look, let's open up a window. Clean up that snot. There's boogers all over the place. This guy, don't sweep him towards the baby. Why are you sweeping the snot towards the baby, you dippy bitch? Here, put the kid up here. Hold him up high where the air is clear. Listen to his lungs. Here, have a seat. Remember, anything I'm listening to his lungs. I'm not pervy at all. Oh, allow me to send your baby to the preventorium. No! Don't send him to preventorium. Don't kiss him. You've got tuberculosis too, you dippy shithead. He's the only healthy person in here. All right. Well, if you don't want me to save your kid, I guess we'll wait until someone comes up. Clean up that snot, will you? Clean up that snot over there. There's more snot under there. I just noticed that booger. And keep the windows open. You can smell the snot on the street. It's fucked up. Okay, bye. See you later. Cheers, you sick bastards. Now I gotta go wash myself in Clorox. Close the window. We don't give a shit. I'll just go back to coughing up Hork. An introduction. Hello, ladies. Hello. Hello, this is my friend Carol. She doesn't have to cough at all. Right in here, ladies. If you'd like to go in here, I'd like to lead you to a house of ill repute. That's one. Eloise Pratt becomes interested in Dr. Jordan's work for the preventorium for children from tuberculosis families. Sorry to interrupt you, Doctor. Oh, I brought you some young girls. Yes, thank you, Dr. Epstein. I appreciate that. How did you manage to find them? Well, I saw them on the street and I brought them in. Here's some younger ones in case you prefer them. Check her eyeballs, check her nose and teeth or whatever. That's wonderful. And check her eyeballs and her teeth. There we go. That's wonderful. She's completely healthy. I can tell just by looking in her eyes that there's no infection growing in her lungs. To help the cause, these ladies are here to be nurses. And we're going to hand you a cute outfit, and you can look like, look sickly, like Nurse Black Eyes here. Hello there, Charles. Good to see you, sir. I noticed you got a couple of fillies ready to work in here. Why don't you introduce me to one of them? They're the only girls in town who don't cough up sputum all over the place. Wonderful. The open air school. Now, this is where we sit outside because the air inside places is fucking disgusting. Ladies and gentlemen. Now, we sit these children in here, and they get to play and move around and run around and ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy, ashu, ashu, we all fall down. That's right, that's the song they're singing. It was about tuberculosis and smallpox and the plague and stuff. That song never gets old, ladies and gentlemen. And here's all the little kids that the service didn't work for. A month later, the Swanson baby is too frail to resist tuberculosis. He's dead. You killed your own kid. He won't move. He's sitting there on the floor. Wait, he's in the thing. Get the fuck out of here. What'd I tell you? Oh, he's covered in boogers. You coughed right up on the fucker. This isn't gonna work. All right. Well, he's dead now. Good job, dummies. Way to go. What'd I fucking tell you? You'll get the corpse sick, asshole. Don't cough it up on there. Oh, man. Okay, well, and the window's shut, too. These assholes. And there's boogers on the thing. What could I possibly do? I know. I'll take the dead baby and sacrifice him to Moloch. No. When do we get to the giant Moloch sacrifice? Or is this all an allegory? Oh, I got the rot in the Pratt pottery, and my curse is on Harrison Pratt. And, oh, I hate you! Never mind the fact that I got it and didn't listen to the doctor and coughed it up and killed my kid by coughing it up, and I could have kept the fucking windows open and not gobbed all over my kid. Eloise celebrates her 20th birthday. Oh, how wonderful! It's so nice to live in a house that's well ventilated and people aren't coughing sputum on you all the time. Isn't this wonderful? Oh, these flowers smell lovely. It's so nice to have functioning olfactory senses, you know. Best wishes on your 20th birthday, Henry Jordan, MD. I'm not going to show it to you. I'm stuffing it in my bra, which I can't do in a later movie because the board of motion pictures won't allow me to put things into my bosom. That evening. Come on in. Yes. Sit down. This has been a rough day. I saw a dead baby and nobody listens to me. What's the problem? Hello, I'm so glad you're still alive and you've got a much better outfit than the last time. I'm enjoying the corset. Is that a business card in your blouse or are you just happy to see me? Hello, old timer. What the fuck are you doing here? Well, I was over at the Pratt house today. These people were mad at me because I coughed and they had a baby and it was... No, he wasn't. What? That couldn't be right. Papa, what are you talking about? Well, I can't just let them die. I know they're poor, but I'm going to take my hat and go. Get out of here, you anti-tuberculosis clown. Papa, you can't kick him out. He doesn't understand the value of tuberculosis for clearing out the poor. I don't like you anymore. And exposure. And bring it. Dr. Jordan claims the conditions of Pratt potteries breed tuberculosis. Alleged unsanitary conditions. How dare he? Called a modern temple of Moloch. What? How dare they? This is my factory. That's nonsense. No one gets the sputum from my factory. That's my name they're trying to... Well, let me read the funnies. I was almost finished with the... Oh, shit. I'm going to work it on. Look, what they wrote in the newspaper about father. What did you see right here? Well, it's... I told him. That's what I said, and I tried to tell him, how could you have that? Look what they're going to do to me. I'm going to be poor and have to get sputum as well. I'll end up in the sputum factory, and this is all your fault. I'm sorry, Miss Pratt, but the place is a modern temple of Moloch. Children are fed to disease as they were fed to the ancient god. What? I hate you. I hate you for what you've done to my father in the business. Well, it is making people sick, and Eloise is taken ill. Oh dear. I don't feel well at all. I must have gotten sputum on me from the, well. Or it could just be rich lady fainting. There's a lot of that these days. Pick her up and take her outside. Put her with the others. There's a pile, the family doctor. All right, look, I don't know what I'm doing any more than you do. Her lungs are affected. You mean infected? No, I mean affected. We don't really know the language right now. What's going to happen? Well, she's going to basically drown in her own lungs. I fear it's tuberculosis, but with fresh air and proper attention, she can probably be cured at home. It probably is carrying a lot of weight. Hello? Yes? Tuberculosis Tattletale Society. Hey, you asshole! What did you tell me about? What do you know about tuberculosis? You seem to help that kid get killed. What should we do? I don't know. Follow modern science, your fucking doctor friend. Bring some ivermectin. We'll be fine. Where are you going, Thomas? She's going to pass away. You've done this to yourself. You gave your own daughter's sputum globula. What you gonna do? I don't know what we can do. There is a scientist, his name is Donald Trump, who suggests we stuck a light bulb up her ass and pour bleach in her lungs. Swanson hears that Harrison Pratt is... Oh my God! Look, they know what happened to our child, and now it's happening to everyone else. His daughter's dying. Oh, I'm so happy that his child is dying too. It's so much better when someone else's kid dies, even though it was obviously preventable in my household, and we could have taken the kid to someplace. Both children are affected. And I'm just coming over here to cough on your kids. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha, your children are dying. Ha ha, my child died and your child will die. Ha ha. I'm mad with insanity. Even though, boy, I'm pretty loud for a guy with tuberculosis, as advanced as mine is. I haven't coughed in days. Swanson tells his own story. Don't you believe me? I got it from that place. Now, what are we doing? And then he opens up the door. This is how it happened. I went into the factory. And I caught a big face full of tuberculosis dust. Hey, you! Don't you know those are germs? Get the fuck out of here. No, I need to work. I need... No. You got a big dust... No, the spores got in your lungs. Get the fuck out of here or you're fired, buddy. Take your spores and go home, you sick son of a bitch. Don't cough all over my people. And then I went home and I coughed a bunch. And Edna poured some castor oil and liquor down my throat. And then she caught the same fucking thing. And then I coughed all over her. My daughter nursed your children, and that is the way they caught consumption. Consumption be done about it? Of cough. Oh, God. And then, can I come to work? Yes, lovely. Why don't you come in here? What did you care when my daughter died? You didn't care. Asshole, I came to your house and told you not to cough all over. What the fuck is wrong with you? Of course we cared. Why do you think I went over there, dipshit? You could have sent him to the sanatorium so he wouldn't have died, but you're the one who killed your fucking kid. No, don't listen to him. He's poor. I'm just sad. Don't be sad, Father. He's just a poor person. You never have to talk to these people ever again. Oh, and I'm dying. Actually, I'm just kind of a little sleepy. Can I have some pudding? Also, what happened to Charles? He's just been sitting there quiet this whole time. I shall clean up my property and stop the spread of tuberculosis. My hero. After you. Thank you for doing that, sir. Now, is there sputum all over the factory floor? Look, Merry Christmas, and God blesses everyone. Now, yes, hang the booger horse by the tree. Yes, this is all the collected snot from my factory. I've made it, we've learned to craft it into small statues to the end of tuberculosis. Here's a letter. Enclosed check is to maintain a visiting nurse and open another fresh air school to safeguard children tuberculosis families. Sincerely, Harrison Pratt. Look at that. He bought his way out of hell by paying. Look, that's wonderful. Now not only do I get to open another sanatorium, but I get a live-in nurse. That means you, darling, get the outfit and the rubber sheets. Okay, so that was the Temple of Moloch. Which is obviously a great film, and I hope we all learned a lot. But we've got to go to the Moloch from Cabiria, which is the real film that we've got to talk about. Where is it? Child sacrifices in the Temple of Moloch. How long is this fucking thing? The legacy of the humans. That's a whole scene about it. Cabiria, 1914. Oh, that's 2 hours. We're not doing that, obviously. So we shall do the Moloch worship scene in the silent film. Here is the film. It's the child sacrifice to Moloch in Cabiria, the 1914 silent film. Open sesame. We've got the baby right here. Everybody got this as a fresh baby. Everybody get your cameras out. Don't miss this. We don't get another shot at this. He's a wonder. And we put him on the little slide, and he just slides out of view there. And there says mom is down there to catch him. And then hooray! And then don't lift the... Hey, he's still holding on. Fuck. All right, well, that's why we have child labor laws show up later. And we're beating of the drums to hide the screams. And all right, and we open up. Look, he's gone. We'll do a second one. And so we just do this over and over again. Is that what? All right, that's the whole thing. That's the entire. There's got to be more to it. Yeah. There's the Temple of the Moloch. Il Templo de Moloch. Okay, so this is the Temple of Malarkey. We found the Biden connection. Invocazione a Moloch. We're going to do an invocation to Moloch. We're going to sing a Moloch hymns to this guy. And we're going to make some bad things happen to the baby. I'm going to tell you this thing. Il pontifice del duezone, t'invoco, respiro del fuoco profondo. Is fire in the belly of the big monster. Genito di te. Well, you whip it out here, you're going to get in big trouble. Primo nato. Whatever. Okay. Yes. Okay. We get it. Yeah. Skip to the scene. Okay. And the fire is burning, and we all gather around the temple of Moloch, and everybody looks conspicuously Jewy, which you shouldn't read into just because this is a movie from the period of time of the First World War, and there was some shit hanging on with there. And then this looks an awful lot like Steve Vai's Alien Love Secrets or whatever album, but don't read too much into that. It's just a silver hand. But basically Moloch is saying, talk it to the hand. Okay, he's saying it, talk it to the hand, and I don't know why I sound like Dr. Guido Sarducci so much right now. And we skip ahead for the Faglio and the Finglio, and we go to the great temple of the Moloch, which is why we thought of this with a tuberculosis, and why it was a good allegory for tuberculosis, because Moloch sounds a lot like people sputuming. For it. Hey, we've got a big thing. We're going to throw the babies in the big belly. Okay, and so everybody got their torches? Okay, good. All right, and everybody got this. Everybody, you late fuckers, get in here. Like, this is, with Moloch not going to wait all day, okay? And this is, of course, from the 7 fires of Moloch. Of course, there is 10, but don't worry about that too much. Just in case the other ones go out. Okay, everybody, listen up. Oh, Moloch ever doing, we're gonna do the thing. Bring the babies around. Oh, boy, or a girl. Hang on there, everybody settle. Woo, fantastic. I can't hear you. Who wants a baby sacrifice? Me. I can't hear you. Bring in the baby. I got him. It's not really a baby. It's more of a toddler. If we throw a toddler in the contraption, they'd really get hurt. So we got to use a kid that's a little, throw the boy in the fire thing. Don't notice that you're cutting away so we can replace the real kid we were carrying with a dummy we made. By the way, this outfit is really fucking hot for this environment. I'm just saying, there's a lot of torches and I'm wearing basically a sweater. This is not, and closing the door, and magically, the baby is burned. Everybody hated that little rat. He cried when everybody was trying to sleep. Let's do it again. Kick your legs, you little fart. Kick of the legs. Everybody, here he goes. I know it says baby, but, and I know the kid helps himself up with one arm because we've done this like 7 times today. But he really is dying. I swear to God, this is not a trick. The kid doesn't slide down into a thing and his mom takes him, and then you guys think we've killed a baby, and when the fire comes out the top, even though the baby's in the middle, we get it. We do it a bunch of times. I know the kid looks like the same kid over and over, and he kicks exactly the same way, but I don't want you to read anything. The kid I'm going to get is a totally different kid from the one that just went in the Moloch slide. So I don't want anybody to think we're trying to pull something over. These are real kids we're sacrificing. Don't get too excited about this. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for returning. You know, it's our 6th week at the big Hall of Teeth, and where everybody's measured the same way. The Hall of 6 inches. And so we come in here and we worship the elephants because they'll step on us if we don't. And we're afraid of anything. Up, and there goes, promise, totally different kid. It's not, even though he's growing, the kid seems to get bigger every week. And if you yell, Tony, he turns his head. Don't think that has anything. This is a totally different kid. I swear to God, it's a totally different kid. And I think they're using the same kid over and over. I don't believe it. Let's go check it out. If we get a bit closer position, maybe we can try to give them another baby. And they'll throw this baby in there, and then we'll know if we're really sacrificing the babies or if they're just recycling babies. Now, look, I believe in being environmentally conscious, but I don't believe in recycled baby. I don't think Moloch would like that. Let's see. We're going to march toward the... What are you guys dancing about? It's the same baby over and over again. There he comes. And we walk around the side, and we come out. Hey, there he is, a whole new baby. Notice nobody's bringing him from the street. Yep, it opens up. And we're all out of babies. Hey, we're done with the sacrifice. Congratulations. Excellent. And by the way, we'll be on tour next year with our new album. We've been Slayer. You've been Northern Egypt, basically. Good night. I got to tell you, like, concerts were the shit back then. There we go. Let's see a close up. That's a little that's a little girl. We think. We don't know. He's kicking feet. Might be just a boy. Hey, give me that kid, you dick. That kid's tired of it. He's been. Hey, give me that. Trust the black guy to try and save the baby from our big fake sacrifice. What the hell? And that's the big Moloch. I feel like we've all learned so much. This is basically we've cracked it open here. We've all learned a valuable lesson about Italian cinema and allegory for tuberculosis, which, by the way, Alex Jones probably takes personally because he sounds like he has tuberculosis. And during, back in that time, they would have rounded him up and put him in a sanatorium anyways. Oh, thank you for the super chat.
Bill Maher, so let's try to grab that. Saying he doesn't believe it. It's crazy.
I think he does believe it's crazy. He doesn't believe it's crazy. It's important, the syntax.
It's in the Roman histories. It's in the Greek histories.
Yeah, as societies that they wiped out.
It's in the Carthaginian histories now that they've dug them up. It is in the Jewish histories, okay?
Yeah, but they're talking about the same people.
And what Plato wrote about is in the Old Testament. The exact same thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of cribbing back then.
Okay.
They took anything that was written on a stone tablet. They're like, okay, that's rock solid. But anything on paper is anybody's guess.
So this is a fact.
No, it's not.
Just like you can go and get a tour at Chichen Itza, and they'll have people with degrees from Mexico City, archaeology.
Oh, the appeal to authority. How quaint.
And they will sit there and explain it to you, and they're all mostly Hispanic. And I've gotten tours down there.
Mostly?
At least 6-7 times, Chichen Itza alone. I've been to many other temples. So fascinating. And
yeah, so you just go to the site of human sacrifice a lot, do you? Do you miss it if you've been away too long?
It's like, yeah, they lie, the liberals in the U.S., and say they didn't sacrifice children.
Nobody says that.
And women and everybody, of course
That's the whole everybody thing. Of course, in everybody would include women and children. Yeah, the Mayans and the Aztecs, that was part of their society. A lot of Bronze Age and primitive tribes did shit like that. Yeah, it is 2026 though. So you've yet to explain to me why Podesta is apparently the natural heir to the Aztec ritual. I don't know, rod, whatever the scepter of the Mayans
did. The Aztecs basically exhausted their population. They killed the majority of the people by the end, and then
yeah, again, another sign that maybe this kind of behavior doesn't actually pay off in the long run. I wouldn't like you to go, hey, what society should we take after where we can really attain power and control over the masses? Let's crib the plans from people that were completely wiped out by themselves.
That's why Cortez, like 240 men, took over Mexico City.
Well, yeah, that and syphilis and smallpox and other diseases these people didn't have natural immunity to, and vice versa, too. You could argue that the Black Plague was sort of, for all talk of Montezuma's revenge. Sorry, I've obviously... sorry, it's sputum I got from that last video. I'm okay, though.
Because the best and the strongest...
Hold on. The best and the strongest?
At least what the gods demanded. Mesoamericans...
primitive societies often killed their weakest members. And that's not good. It's also what arguably Musk and his buddies, who you like, are calling for.
Dig up their skeletons from 15, 20,000 years ago. They're...
Yes, we've learned no lessons as humans in 15 to 20,000 years, apparently.
6 foot tall, the men, many of them, on average, almost 6 feet tall. Why do you think the folks in Central and South America, the natives, from the native stock that aren't mainly Spaniard, why do you think the men are like 5'2" and the women are like 4.5 feet tall?
Because they come from the Asian side of the equation. And by the time that those genetic lines had worked their way to the Americas, they had shrunk in stature due to caloric availability and a myriad of other environmental factors that did not favor being tall over millennia.
It's because if you were tall, and if you had blue eyes, you were completely, or albino, you were just dead. Same thing in Africa. If you're an albino, they're killing you, they're eating you in most areas. Because
they're not eating you. They'll kill you, though. I mean, it's a witchcraft thing, but that's not, again, tie this to fucking Hillary Clinton allegedly having Parkinson's.
Seen as magic. It's the same crap all over the place, over and over again, okay?
Yes, your show is the same crap over and over again. On this we agree.
Human history. This is what brings down civilization.
No, it doesn't. I mean, this might be, but no, most societies don't baby eat themselves out of existence. Most of them, by the way, have never ended. They just transmute into a more functional system. The tribes and the systems die out as an identifier because they no longer serve the people. Hence, the Aztecs fucking eating their own. It didn't eliminate all the peoples in South America, certainly. It just, that system died out. The people themselves turned into other tribes, genetically bonded with other people, because that system failed. That society didn't die and everyone with it just like wilted like the fucking Skeksis and the and what was it, the Guardians or whatever in the Dark Crystal, where one dies and everybody else just collapses.
This is 100% real, like the sun coming up in the morning.
No, it's not. And also back then, they thought the sun coming up in the morning was an active move by the sun as opposed to a static move where the sun was in one position and the earth was turning. So the sun even turning back then meant something different than it means now. The heliocentric model being, fuck me.
And it all continues. It never went away. It just stayed underground.
So God fucked up and just killed a bunch of humans for no good reason. So the great worldwide flood and Jesus coming back was, God missed, is what you're saying.
Okay?
No, not okay. This is just silly.
The whole vampire metaphor is a metaphor for the Satanists.
No, it has to do with a disease called erythropoietic protoporphyria, which was a combination of like hemophilia from inbreeding in Romanian and like Slovak, wealthy families and royals that led to this kind of bizarre medical idea that if you bled, you could drink blood to replenish the blood that you had lost, and that resulted in these like rich, like decaying kids, young people whose hemophilia and had to be protected, and their skin would crack in the sunlight. That's the erythropoietic part of it. They had to be kept indoors, out of sunlight. They were very pale. It was believed that they drank blood because that was the storyline of how you replenish blood that you lost in that mass quantity back then. So it comes out of this Romanian royalty inbreeding shit. That's where the vampire mythology comes from. 100%. That's why it's not ubiquitous in the same way everywhere. It's specific to, that's why Transylvania, dum-dum.
And if you want to know who our leaders are, they are devil-worshipping vampires, okay?
Okay, so that's what he's saying is that Donald Trump, I think we can settle it on that. According to Alex Jones, Donald Trump, and obviously J.D. Vance, and any of the SCOTUS and John Thune and Mike Johnson are devil-worshipping vampire baby eaters. I didn't say it. Alex said it. And I mean, who are we to argue with somebody with a level of acid reflux that could have killed the dinosaurs? And on that note, I'm gonna tonight's song is dedicated to Alex. I think he's earned it more than almost any other human on the planet. Because again, If anything he said was true about this ruling elite, they'd have killed him a long time ago. Or maybe they just are incapable of pulling it off, in which case, why would we be afraid of it? Or he works for them. Oh yeah, I went there. Hit the like, share the show. Thank you guys so much.
No style. Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a blank, cold stare. Puppets dance, the strings are tight. Shadows whisper in the dead of night. This is some bullshit. We see through it. This is some bullshit. Can't undo it. Say it now. We won't quit. This is some bullshit. Paper thin truths that crumble like ash. Golden thrones built on stolen cash. We raise our fists, we break the mold. Your heart